Hi, I hope you're doing okay. I can see there's one person on here at the moment. Just going to wait for the numbers to go up a bit, hopefully, and then I will start. Hope you're doing well. Now we've got 19. It's good. Hopefully it'll go up a little bit more. Please tap the likes as much as you can, and please share this out to as many people as you can. We're going to be looking at the evidence in relation to Milie Dowler, how it links in with Daniel Morgan, the death of Daniel Morgan, and others. But we're also going to be looking at Peter Sutcliffe and other elements of this fraud and seeing how it all connects in together. So please tap the likes as much as you can and share this out as much as you can. I'm just showing this screenshot here because I'm trying to send the main evidential research document out on my emails. And as you can see, for whatever reason, I don't know if that's them deliberately doing it, but I can't seem to get the emails to come out of this queue to be sent. So I'm trying to send it, keep trying to resend them, and they're going into this queued box, okay, on my email. So I am trying to get the documents out to everybody. It does seem as though every now and then they do then get sent, but some of them are just stuck in there and I can't actually get them out. Now, whether it's because there's 5 documents attached and it's taken a bit of time, I don't know, but I just wanted to show you that and let you know that I am trying to get the evidential document out to everybody as much as I can. And I'm going through my Gmail account first of all, and then I'm going to be moving on to my Proton Mail account to go through all of those emails and try and send the document out. I cannot emphasize enough how important this document is. It quite literally is the most important evidential research document on the planet at the moment, because it proves the entire corrupt criminal system that most of humanity are living under, and it supports what their likely plans are with all of humanity based on the evidence contained within that. Just a little bit of a summary for you. I know some of you may have heard me say this a lot of times. So I was in the police for 18 years. I left in 2018. And in 2022, I started to acquire irrefutable evidence of decades-long international government fraud with the help of others. And this is where our governments and their organisations have been involved in the forgery of the Companies House registration system and the incorporation documents. So this is a breach of their own legislation, their criminal laws, 2006 Fraud Act, and also the Theft Act 1968, as well as many other offences in relation to conspiring to commit offences against other people, because conspiring is a very broad offence. And there's a suggestion, quite a strong suggestion in there, that this is linked into murder, which we're going to be talking about in a moment, and other very serious cases. All terrorist incidents seem to be linking into the same companies and therefore the same people, linking into high-profile children cases against children, whether that be missing children or the deaths of children, mass shootings, including Dunblane, the Las Vegas shootings, the terrorist incidents, as I've said. Particularly recently, I've researched the attacks in France in 2015 and then Brussels early 2016. I'm finding irrefutable links into everything. Everything's coming in this. The Lockerbie bombing, definitely the World Trade Center disaster bombing. It's all linking in with this and what appears to be a very sinister group of individuals running this system. And we're going to see potentially in some of the research we're going to be looking at tonight, potentially how they've managed to do that through the mind control element against the masses. Okay, and we actually find some connections to that in the research we're going to be looking at tonight, coming in from Milie Dowler. Now, obviously, the evidence is overwhelming, and we really need to do something about this. I mean, there's more than enough evidence now to prove what our governments have been doing and how evil it appears to be and how sinister it is. They have 100% got a criminal financial system in place, which means it has to stop. And as I started to say, they've gone against their own acts and their legislation to set this system up, which means it has to stop. You can't have the police, the governments, the councils, the NHS, the intelligence agencies and the military and whoever else are involved in this running a system against their own legislation that they've imposed. So it has to change. Now, the actual forgery is where they're forging the Companies House records and the incorporation documents. And not only is that bad enough, but there's also been no verification, which means they are knowingly and deliberately facilitating the laundering of money in relation to international conflicts, as I've said, terrorism, crimes against children. And unfortunately, the evidence is overwhelming to suggest the crimes against the children is horrendous, even worse than sexual abuse. We're talking, it appears, the torture of children, even skinning of children alive. And then you've got a huge connection now to the blood, which we're actually going to be talking about again, coming into the research of Milie Dowler in all of this. So it's huge. And it is not stopping. They are trying to placate the situation by making it seem as though they're resolving this, such as saying that all Freemasons now will need to declare if they're Freemasons. The Association of Police and Crime Commissioners is now being scrapped. But it's not enough. Okay, they've brought in new supposed regulations for company and corporations, but they've allowed loopholes for the fraud and the laundering of the money to continue. And what I mean by the laundering is the stealing of money from most of you through tax and other financial institutions, and then funneling it through their addictions, their criminal crimes that they're involved in, and the very serious crimes against humanity. And in fact, what appears to be a plan against absolutely all of us, even those that are involved in the fraud. And this is where you start coming into the links into the Vatican and the falsified prophecies in all of this. A deliberate drive towards possibly the end of all of creation into the tribulation period, a falsified tribulation period. Now, there's loads and loads of evidence to support what I'm saying, and I do urge you to get the document. And what you can do with that document is cross-reference and look at everything to see where it all ties in from every angle that you come in. So let's get into it anyway. Now, I'm not going to be watching comments whilst I'm showing this evidence, and it is very important that I show you the evidence. I don't think anybody else is doing this in the world. I think it's only me that is showing you the truth of the evidence and giving you a document to verify everything. All right, now I don't trust that, I don't expect everyone to trust me. All you need to do is go and look at the document, verify the evidence within the document, which we're going to be looking at tonight, and see that everything I'm saying is true. Okay. Now I urge all of you to record however you can this video. All right, because they are removing my videos and they are suppressing it. So what I need as many of you as possible to do is to record what I'm showing you now and then re-upload it on every social media platform as you can, so that this cannot go away. Okay, excuse me, I've got hiccups. So let's get into it. So we're going to go into, I'm going to show you a TikTok video in a minute, actually, because it's quite interesting, if I remember. So we're going into, if it loads up. He's loading up, but it's going to take a while. Okay. So this is my main evidential research document that is being sent out. Now, I've updated it a little bit more today. Thank you very much for somebody that's pointed out a couple of spelling mistakes, and they were quite important ones, actually, where I spelt Candice, her name, wrong at the beginning. And also I spelt, what was it? There was something else I spelt which would have potentially hindered people's verification of the document. So thank you so much to anybody that's noticing those mistakes and let me know. So I've rectified those in this document and also added the evidence linking into the Black Lives Matter side of things, okay, which is absolutely mind-blowing where the Black Lives Matter side of things comes in. So I'm just going to try and get to the initial part of the document. Sometimes it takes a little bit to find the words because the document's over 1,000 pages now and my device isn't the best. So I'm just going to wait for that to find the second entry on it. So everybody, when you get this document, whilst this is loading, you need to save it offline. Okay, you cannot allow this to be going just online all the time and it risk being deleted. So save it offline and then share it, please, absolutely everywhere you can. It's absolutely critical that people are sharing this document out. And then what I will do is, as the document is being updated, I will send out new documents, and within that circulation tell you what the new subjects are that are being added, so then you can just go back into the document and search those new subjects, if that makes sense. So we've got says 55 people. Please keep tapping the likes and sharing as much as you can. So here we are. So how did I first, well, I obviously knew about Milie Dowler previously, but back then I didn't know about this fraud, and I just thought, okay, this is another children's murder, and there's obviously something not right in all of this, but I didn't know about what I'm going to be telling you about, of course. And I first started looking into Milie Dowler as a result of what Brian Harvey said to me, but it wasn't until quite a while after. So we're going to be talking about Brian Harvey now, and if you don't know who he is, he was a singer of a band called East 17 from the 80s or 90s, I believe, and I had a conversation with him for about an hour and a half or thereabouts in 2024. So we're going to be talking about that initially. And I'm just going to read to you. It says, in 2024, I managed to speak with E17, who appears to have been trying to expose child abuse within the entertainment industry and the royal family. He has specifically mentioned individuals as being part of the corruption, including his former band manager, Tom Watkins, and Ian Puddick. And I took notes from our conversation, which lasted over an hour. It was actually about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, Harvey would not speak with me again, so I cannot verify any further information, but other than what I have done since, okay, and I suspect he was told not to speak to me anymore because he was already providing a lot of information. Now, when I spoke to him, I'd made no mention of the name Kellaway, which becomes important in all of this, to Harvey, and did not even realise the significance of the name at the time. But Harvey mentioned the name repeatedly, saying something similar to Robert Kellaway having been involved in a dispute over murdered Milie Dowler, okay, and it having huge implications for the news of the world, which had been connected to Max Clifford. David Sherborne had been Harvey's barrister and was the same barrister in the Milie Dowler case. So we're going to start with David Sherborne, the research. Now, let me just tell you how important the evidence is in the Companies House records so you understand it. So this is the government's own registration system where, for whatever reason, there is a trail of evidence proving everything, okay? And it appears potentially that has been left for the right person to expose it at the right time. And that it seems as though that person is me for whatever reason. But anyway, and we're going to look at some of the actual verification as we go through. The research shows that David Sherborne is a very prominent barrister in the entertainment industry, having been involved in many high-profile cases for many of those already identified, as being connected to the main companies in the fraud. Sherborne had been educated at UCS Hampstead, the area where the Hampstead child abuse inquiry took place, and it is so important to the exposure. And some of you saw my live yesterday, I believe, and over the last few days, I've shown connections into Black Lives Matter directly into the Hampstead child abuse inquiry, which involved an allegation by two children that their father, Ricky Dearman, was involved in not only a group that was sexually abusing and raping them, but also making them take part in the decapitation of babies and the drinking of those babies' blood in a school and in a church in London. Now, I've linked that, as I've said, directly to Black Lives Matter very, very quickly and back into Exborn Manor, the company I was removed from. So there's a huge link into the apparent blood of the children and vast more evidence as well that I haven't even spoken about tonight. Sherborne had also go back to that, sorry. So he was educated in Hampstead. He was also educated at Oxford, where the Maxwells were very prominent, okay, as in Robert and Ghislaine Maxwell. And we actually find links to that later. He was called to the bar in October 1992, which is the same year that the Companies House Register started to become electronic and the Vatican, which is actually the Catholic Church, became a legal entity. This was after key events leading up to it, and that is shown throughout the document, okay? Now, this is where you start looking, and we're getting connections already into the falsified prophecies in all of this via the Vatican and the Catholic Church. Sherborne also represented the core participants in the Leveson inquiry, including the McGanns, linking to Madeleine McCann case, which is 100% to do with what I'm exposing, the Dowler family, Hugh Grant, and J.K. Rowling. Now, J.K. Rowling, I've already connected almost immediately to the research of Sacha Stone. And Sacha Stone, the information I have, also links him to the Vatican via the black nobility families and connections being made via Glastonbury back to the blood of the tortured children in all of this, okay? With immediate connections having been made to, I've already mentioned that, to Sacha Stone. The Leveson inquiry had stemmed from convictions of royal editor Clive Goodman and private investigator Glenn Mulcair, who were convicted of illegal interception of phone messages in 2007, the same year that Madeleine McCann went missing and Exborn Manor Freehold Limited was formed, the company that I was removed from after I continuously refused to file forged bank documents. And that removal of me as a director was initiated by Deborah Fleming, who is a member of the Fleming family that are so compromised and involved in all of this. And they are linked to religious establishments as well, okay? And Deborah Fleming actually links to my wife's church in Westbourne in Dorset called Christ Church in Westbourne, okay, via the Wessex Partnership. The inquiry led to Lord Justice Levenson's inquiry involving David Cameron in 2011, the same year as the relevant Christchurch earthquake and later the supposed death of Jimmy Savile. Now, I've put obviously links to the research in the document so everyone can just see where I'm getting this particular information is, but this is just supportive, okay, of the Companies House records, because you can't just go by this, all right, but you can go by a trail of evidence that they are not publicly exposing, and it's the right person needs to be able to identify all of that evidential links, connecting everything together, joining all of the dots, identifying the fraud, finding how the fraud is so relevant and linking into the Vatican, etc., and everything else. So the links are within the document to prove everything that I'm saying, as I've said. Now, here we're going to get to the Companies House Register in a minute. So Brian Henry Leveson is an English retired senior judge. Oh, before I go any further, just to let you know, I'm not looking at the comments. And what I'm going to be doing is going across to my TikTok page after I've done this presentation, and then anybody can come on and speak to me. They can ask questions in the comments, and I'm literally just going to focus on what anyone wants to ask or speak to me about, okay, during that. And that's on my TikTok channel, which is Gary, The Truth Sets Us Free, okay, on TikTok, at Gary, The Truth Sets Us Free. So just to bear that in mind, I'm not looking at the comments at the moment. So Brian Henry Leveson is an English retired senior judge who became the Investigatory Powers Commissioner in 2013, the year after CERN claims to have discovered the God particle, which is all 100% relevant to all of this, okay, the collider technology, giving the ability to facilitate criminal intrusive surveillance as part of the agenda, okay, because the Investigatory Powers Act and Commissioner relates to the intrusive surveillance upon the masses during investigations, but also potentially manipulating it to actually be able to survey and illegally survey and interrogate survey or intrusively survey members of the public as well. So he was the head of that particular part or particular element of government. He was appointed to that role in December 2022, which is the month that I made my first report of the fraud. This is when changes start taking place, okay, all over the world in the Companies House records, including to the Pizzagate scandal, which is linking in with the apparent skinning of a girl alive, tying in with Hillary Clinton, okay, and that was a laptop that was infiltrated by the New York police in around 2016, and they found a video that appeared to show a girl being skinned alive, linking in with Hillary Clinton and others, and it led to a pizza connection where it appears they were using pizza and food as a coded messaging system in relation to the children, and how that linked into, it was called Ping Pong Comet, okay? Now, it's no coincidence it's called Comet, because I've now linked that to the prophecy of the popes, and you have to have a very open mind with everything I'm telling you, and it's within the document through the Companies House records, okay? And Comet links into the 3-eye Atlas comet that they claim to have seen in July 2025, which is almost definitely a deception, okay? So it all ties in together now, and the Pizzagate scandal, when you research Hillary Clinton through the Companies House records, right there on the incorporation document, you have a Virgin Management Limited company. Well, that then links into the Virgin Foundation and obviously Richard Branson, who has been linked to the Epstein files or the Ghislaine Maxwell files, I can't remember. And Virgin Foundation companies are all the way through this research and linked to my wife's former employee from Sherborne, who was a dentist called Charles Sherwin. And from there, you then hit criminal United Nations companies, and it ties in with a lot of other really huge subjects in all of this. What was I going to say on that? Also from Hillary Clinton, from the Pizzagate scandal research, you see a connection to a company called Codden CPM. Well, Cod and CPM links to Sonia Poulton, who was the independent journalist looking at the Madeleine McCann case, who I spoke to in 2023. She refused to assist me in exposing the fraud. Her company then dissolved on Companies House. She then went and colluded with the likes of Brian Gerrish from UK Column and directly, so I was told, by Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, who was the acting chairman of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, who I approached in July 2022, wanting to look at our bank documents, and he resigned a few days later. Okay, he was then brought back in as a director. Anyway, so let's keep moving forward. Okay, so this was December 2022, the month that I made my first report to the fraud. That's the same, it was October 2022 that, and I will just mention this quickly because it ties into what I've just told you, that Pietro Parolin, who is linked to the Vatican, held a world interfaith meeting, and the research from that links back into Christchurch, where I was working, back in Dorset, okay, from that. And that was in October 2022. And of course, that then makes the connection back into the Vatican. And this actually links to the prophecy of the popes, or they're trying to make it seem as though it is, because Pietro Parolin, Pietro means Peter, and the prophecy of the popes says that Roman the Peter will become the last pope before the end of time and the judgment upon all man. And there's lots of other evidence I've done in relation to Pietro Parolin that suggests they were going to try and set him up as the final pope, and that's in another part of the document. So he had previously, so we're back to Sir Henry Leveson, part of the Leveson Inquiry, which links in with Milie Dowler, okay, served as the president of the Queen's Bench Division and the head of the criminal justice, and had been appointed a Knight Bachelor by Queen Elizabeth II, granting him the title of Sir in 2001, the same year that the World Trade Center disaster occurred. Lewis and his wife, Lynn, daughter of Albury, also Liverpool, claim to be Jewish. Now, the Jewish connection is massive in all of this, but it appears as though the Jewish faith has been infiltrated by links to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom, and the Church of Satan. There's irrefutable links to the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan in all of this, but it could be that they've infiltrated the Church of Satan. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that, to make whatever it is they're planning, the falsified prophecies, seem as though it is Satan, all right, because that will fit the scripture better than anything else. So it looks as though they've set that up, and there's loads of stuff I could say about that, such as Princess Diana's death was in 1997, and within 2 months of her death, the original founder of the Church of Satan also died. Now, I suspect they infiltrate the Church of Satan around that time, leading into the collaborative deception of the World Trade Center disaster. Okay. Now, obviously, that also then leads into, as I spoke about earlier, so 1997, she died. Sorry, prior to that, obviously, 1991, you had the relativistic heavy ion collider started to be built in New York, where scientists said it could create a black hole on Earth. And 1992, the year afterwards, is when the Companies House register started to become electronic. And as I've said earlier, the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Anyway, right. So we've got a little bit of that Wikipedia research out of the way. Now we get to the real important stuff. A Companies House search for Brian Leveson reveals the foundation of Lady Catherine Leveson that was incorporated on the 23rd of December 2011, less than 2 months after Jimmy Savile's supposed death. It has a registered address of Temple House, Temple Basil. Okay, now they love using, and they've done it, and again, I think it's for the right person to expose it. They've got the temple connection all the way through this. Okay, and the solicitors linked to the inner temple, they've all been centralized to the criminal network. You've got the inner temple and I believe the outer temple, and the Temple Bar, which was a literal bar, okay, near Parliament in London, 7 Bell Yard, I believe the address was, where they used to go and have drinks, members of Parliament, and they used to eat mutton pies. I believe it was mutton pies. PIE, pies. Well, that's the same acronym for the Paedophile Information Exchange. And that address, 7 Bell Yard, connects to the research of Ghislaine Maxwell in the evidence. Okay, they use that address throughout the fraud, and it links to Ghislaine Maxwell. At page 4 and 18 of its incorporation document, appears to have been doctored. And several pages show Wright Hassel LLP. There are many names connected to Parliament. So we're just going to have a quick look at this. So page 4 and 18 of its incorporation documents. We're opening up now. If it loads, this is the really important evidence now. This is a link into the government's registration system. And you can see, let me just show you his name on there. So you know his name's linked to it. Levinson. There is a chance they've removed it because the National Crime Agency removed 11,500 companies from the Companies House register suddenly in July 2025. Okay, so it doesn't look as though it's on there. Let's just go back to the document. Let's just make sure I've done that right. Companies House search for Brian Levinson reveals the foundation of Lady Catherine Levinson was incorporated on the 23rd of December 2011. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll go into Google. It might be that I searched it through Google and it popped up. And it might be they removed it. So let's go into Google. What I think something that's happening is that a lot of the time as I'm searching, I think the algorithm is also picking up the removals of some of the information. So it looks as though they might have removed it. And this is what's his actual personal appointments here. Okay, yeah, so it looks as though they've changed that. Okay, let's go. How else could... Sorry, I'm just thinking. Let's go into the company anyway, and I'll look at what I've showed you. Look at what we're talking about here. So this company, as you can see, it was incorporated in 2011. Now, Jimmy Savile died on the 29th of October 2011, so it's almost 2 months to the day. And if we look on you can see the address there, Temple House, Temple Balsall. So it looks as though they've removed the connection to him, which would make the link to, but I think I've got the screenshots of all of this saved. And if we go into the incorporation document, actually be interesting. I'll try and do this as quick as I can, and I probably won't go into all of the verification because I'll be here for literally hours. And obviously those of you that have the document can verify everything. There you go, you can see the temple link. You can see changes in the name. So you see where these lines are missing. If I zoom that out, that's where the document has been doctored. It's been forged and altered, I suspect. Right, because these are template forms, and you can see the lines, okay, stop suddenly on the right. So it looks as though they've removed a name that was there and put another name instead. Okay, now that is shown on a couple, at least 2 of the documents, pages. So that's page 4, and I think it was 11 that I said there was another forgery. Okay, what they're also doing is, and I've noticed this, previously you would have the page numbers on the bottom right where they've scanned them in. Okay, what they're now doing is they've changed that. So the page numbers have been removed off of the documents, certainly from when I'm looking at them now. They were always on there, which means that gives them the ability to remove pages from the incorporation documents as well. Just having a quick look through if there's anything else on there. It looks as though they might have removed the other page with the alteration, because it was page 11. Well, on my right there, you can see this is telling me the page numbers, and that's just that page. So that's not the one I would have been on about. So it looks as though they might have removed another page potentially. Let's just have a look at this anyway. Remember, I said that Wright Hassel was on it. Well, this becomes important. And also Olympus House, believe it or not, is important because it links in with the Olympic Games. And they've got Olympus companies tying in with that. And that links in with the infiltration of the royal family in all of this as well. Just seeing if there's anything else. The Right Honourable James Viscount Daventry. The Right Honourable Charles Heneage, the Earl of Aylesford. See, they've written this in, typed some of it, and then written extra names in afterwards. Michael Featherstone Dilke. An OBE, Jonathan Evans, OBE, Temple House. Okay, let's go back to... John Evers connects this company that we're looking at to various post office and Royal Mail companies linking to the fraud scandal. David Cameron is also connected to this in the research. Now, many of you will hopefully know about the post office scandal, the largest miscarriage of justice in the UK's history, according to Rishi Sunak, where over 900 postmasters were wrongly accused of stealing money. It will be 100% because of this fraud. It is not an IT issue. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming, okay, in relation to it. John Evans connects the foundation of the Lady Catherine Leveson to various, as I've said, post office companies. Michael Charles Featherstone Dilke, who we just saw in the incorporation document, connects the foundation of Lady Catherine Leveson to County Air Ambulance Trust that was incorporated in 1995, leading up to the plans of the World Trade Center disaster. It connects to the fraud by Sevenside Company Services on its incorporation document, and air ambulance companies make important connections to the fraud, and particularly around the area of the dreams that I had. Search of Vanessa Emery and my family as well, and Vanessa claims to be the real heir to the UK throne. Also, you'll find the air ambulance connection makes the link to Aisha Hart from God FM, where they were trying to set me up in the court case process to be bailed to her address. And that links directly into Lloyds Bank as well. And Lloyds Bank is found on the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that links all areas of the fraud. Carol Ann Matthews connects the foundation of Lady Catherine Leveson to Wright Hassel Leamington Limited. Remember, it's Wright Hassel on the actual incorporation document. Now we have a different Wright Hassel company that was incorporated in 1993, and it dissolved in July 2025 as other key movements took place as the exposure continued. That's when the 3i Atlas was first supposedly seen in July 2025. It's also when the currency producer De La Rue, for the first time since 1947, was bought and came off the London Stock Exchange. And 1947 is the year of the creation of the world of the Doomsday Clock. And it was bought by a company, or acquired by a company called Atlas Holdings. Well, Atlas Holdings Limited has already been linked via information I received to apparent missing nuclear weapons from the 1980s, that there's information to suggest they may use as a collaborative deceptive attack against all of creation as they become exposed in all of this, or even that they were planning anyway, but it's possibly brought plans forward and everything. This company has Howard Thomas on its incorporation document and Eurolife companies, making major connections to the criminal network and the agenda. And my wife's family and CERN are also linked directly to that name. And that name is used on the incorporation document throughout the fraud, as shown elsewhere in the document. Several of the directors connect to Warwick Independent Schools Foundation that was incorporated as Warwick Schools on the 13th of July 2001, 11 days before Larry Silverstein acquired the lease for the World Trade Center in the lead up to its collapse. And that was the only time that the building had ever changed hands. The building started to be built, the World Trade Center building started to be constructed in 1966, which is the year that the Church of Satan was founded, and it was completed in its construction in 1973, which is the year, 2 years after the World Economic Forum began, which is all relative to this, and it's the same year that the SWIFT international transaction system used in this international government fraud started to be used. And it's the same year that Soylent Green, the movie, came out, which was about an innocent police officer in 2022 uncovering a dystopian future involving large corporations and potentially remains of humans being put in the food chain. The same year that I started my inquiries at Exbourne Manor. And the film was loosely based on a book from 1966, which is the year of the foundation of the Church of Satan. And the book is based in the year 1999, which is when the re-establishment of the Church of Satan took place after the death of its original founder in 1997, within 2 months of Princess Diana. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of this and verify this for you, if it allows me to. So this is the company that leads in from the other company that we were looking at. And if we look at the overview, you can see here it was incorporated 13th of July 2001. And if you just type in when did Larry Silverstein acquire the World Trade Center lease, you'll see it was the 24th of July 2001. It then changed its name after the World Trade Center disaster, and that's the only time, according to the overview, it's ever changed its name, and it is still an active company. Ruth Audrey Weeks connects Warwickshire independent schools to 8 companies, including religious establishments and the Girls' Association, making critical connections shown elsewhere, including to the research of Boris Johnson, to 3i PLC. Remember the 3i Atlas comet I told you about? Well, there you have a 3i Atlas PLC again, and to the research of the prophecy of the popes, and where I suspect they took the name for the 3i Atlas comet, which supposedly makes its and this was obviously, I wrote this a little while ago, makes its closest approach to Earth on the 19th of December 2025. So we'll just go into that so you can look at it. Weeks. This is within the company that connects from that initial 11. So it looks as though they've tried to remove that connection being made. Let's see if they've removed this name. Let's go back to it. Ah, there it is. Okay, so we've got, because sometimes they have them in alphabetical order, but then they start it again when I presume new names are being added, then it starts alphabetically again. I'm not too sure exactly what they're doing there. But you have, remember, this is linking in with religious establishments. You can see that they were appointed in September 2019. Well, that in itself is relevant because that is leading up to the COVID deception. That's September, October, November, 3 months before the outbreak. And you can see 8 companies, including a religious establishment and the Girls' Association company. Now that links in from the other areas of the research, as I've said. Several of the directors, bear with me. Weeks Andrew connects with independent school Israel girls elsewhere, including the research of the Johnson 3i appeals, connecting the research of the prophecy of the popes, suspected of December. Okay, so what you can do within the document then is you can search the Girls' Association within the document. So I'll just do that a little bit for you now, but when you've got the document, you can check it all properly. So if we go into this document. Oh. It might take a minute to load up. And we're going to see that every angle of the research surrounding Milie Dowler, and you'll see some better evidence, hopefully, where I can still verify it with you, links into the same international government fraud. So this is, you can see by searching it, the Girls' School Association comes up here. And then what you can do is you can follow the subject back to the heading and see what it was linking into. So this is Harold Shipman, who was I think, is that the last subject, or is there another one underneath it? Oh. Yeah, so coming in from the serial killer, Harold Shipman, who was a doctor. I'm sure many of you would have heard of it. And I haven't actually publicised this evidence. I wasn't going to do it now. So, but whilst we're here, we'll have a quick look. So Harold Frederick Shipman, born the 14th of January 1946 till 2004, was an English doctor in general practice and serial killer. He is considered to be one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history, with an estimated 250 victims over roughly 30 years. On the 31st of January 2000, Shipman was convicted of murdering 15 patients under his care. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a whole life order. On the 13th of January 2004, one day before his 58th birthday, Shipman supposedly hung himself in his cell at HM Prison, Wakefield. I'll just show you the... This is him, if you're not aware of him. Oh. Sorry. A search for Harold Frederick Shipman, which was his middle name, company's house through Google revealed a record with no date of birth being connected to Biomed Corporation Limited, where they were appointed on the 19th of October 2001, the month after the World Trade Center disaster, and they resigned in March 2017 after the Pizzagate scandal became exposed and Donald Trump became the president. The company was incorporated as Jardine Marine Limited on the 19th of October 2001, before its name was changed for the only time in May 2002. According to the overview, Jardine has been identified as being connected to the Lloyds Bank and Lloyds Bank companies are shown on page 40 of the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that connects most areas of the fraud. David Lawrence Shipman of Princess Park Avenue is shown on the incorporation document. For an active company, there is very limited information on the filing history. So I'll just show you that. It loads up. Now, obviously, in itself, nothing particularly important so far. You can see there's no date of birth for this person. Appointed not long after the World Trade Center disaster. Resigned after Donald Trump came in. We go into it and we'll see where we go from here on the document. David Lawrence Shipman of Princess Park Avenue is shown on the incorporation document for an active company. A duplicate record for David Lawrence Shipman with the people within the people record connects the company to Sobon Limited that was incorporated as DP Capital Limited in 1985, the same year as the intelligence agency, Russian government and royal family linked Hackler International Advisory Board. Its incorporation document does not seem to be available, but Temple Secretaries of 788 to 790 Finchley Road is shown in the people record. So we'll just go into that. So we're in this company, Biomed one. There should be a duplicate record for David Shipman. Yep. And there we go, Sobon. So into the Sobon one. So remember, there's no verification on the names. Okay, so they're able to use alias names okay, and variations of details, but it leads to the same companies from all of the same angles. So that's how we can confirm that it is all part of the government deception and the criminal network all linking in with this. You can see it's a security and commodity contracts dealing company with DP Capital as the original name there until 1998. So this could be, in theory, this could be Harold Shipman's real name that we're looking at now, and they used an alias name for the fake, potential fake conviction of him in all of this. Oh yeah, so it's going to look at temple secretaries in the people record. So the incorporation document seems to be out of view, so I can't look at that. But in here, you can see temple secretaries. Now, this is very important company. You can see the address under there. If you were to type in Google Finchley Road fraud, you'll see an article from 2019 relating to Gordon Bowden, who identified this address as being linked to international government fraud, corrupt politicians, mafia, dictatorships, basically all world crime, okay, through this address. And it was an empty address, and I've actually had a contact that went there, confirmed it was still empty. So there's no one there to be able to hand litigation papers to in the event of any malpractice or corruption within a company. And this is how government have been involved in this deliberately. What's his name? David Cameron and Tony Blair had companies registered at this address, according to, and I've actually seen connections to David Cameron and Tony Blair as well to this address. Okay, and then what they'll do is they'll come to the empty address every now and then, take the papers, go through it all, and anything that risks exposing them, they just get rid of. And there's no accountability and liability because nobody has actually handed something to someone to be able to visually identify them. This is what they're doing, you see. They're using fake names, empty addresses, fake companies, criminal companies, hiding behind emails. This is why my strategy is so important. You need to expose them on video in their faces during citizens' arrests or putting them on notice. But really, it's gone past the point of putting them on notice because all of the evidence suggests we are in serious trouble with this organised criminal network. Susan Leslie Zuckerbrod connects this company to Chai Lifeline Cancer Care that was incorporated in 1998 and makes further connections to the health industry. It has Paisners & Co. on its incorporation document, making the connection to the fraud, Jewish Community Centre, UK, Ghislaine Maxwell, and other major connections as shown throughout the document. Raphael Arau Saville, notice the Saville name, connects Chai Lifeline Cancer Care to 21 companies, including Friends, spelt wrong, of Boys Town, Jerusalem, where they were appointed in 2002, the same year that the Large Hadron, I should say 2008, sorry, same year that the Large Hadron Collider was activated for the first time and resigned on the 6th of April 2011, less than 2 months after the Christchurch earthquake, which links in to the research of the Collider and CERN. In other evidence, it connects immediately to the research of the fraud by Stanley Davis and has M.E. Maloney and company solicitors of an address in Hampstead on its incorporation document. Richard Lawrence Segal connects Chai Lifeline Cancer Care to 27 companies, including various Odeon companies, in other words, the cinema company, which connects immediately to Odeon and UCI Cinemas Group Limited, that then links quickly to the research of my former colleague from Dorset Police, and now Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police, Guy Briscoe, a couple of spelling mistakes there, who I was a friend of and who worked with me. Okay, the research of the Las Vegas shooting via Every Child Trading Company also connects these now together. Okay, so it links the Las Vegas shooting to my former colleague, Guy Briscoe, and to Harold Shipman, the research of Harold Shipman. That's no coincidence. There's over 5 million registered companies, and you're talking literally a handful of companies away from each other. Stephen Paul Gosling connects Chai Lifetime cancer care to 154 companies, including many of which are energy industry companies, including various octopus companies that have already been connected to significant areas of the fraud. The research shows that John Thane Forbes, born 1938, which is the name, is a British... So this is the judge for the Harold Shipman case. British retired judge and barrister that oversaw the Shipman trial. As a High Court judge, he presided over the trial of Harold Shipman, as I've said, who was convicted, as we've said. And Forbes was born of Scottish parents on the Isle of Wight. This is where Guy Briscoe worked for a while in the police. Okay, this is where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS chief executive. This is where the world's first wireless communication mast was erected, and where this was built by Marconi, who was also involved in the Vatican radio station. Okay, and I suspect what they're doing, or have been trying to do, and very likely have been doing, is using the frequencies through radio to psychologically control people and program people. And anyone that doesn't think that's possible, it absolutely is. Okay, and they can do it through a frequency where you subconsciously take it in, but not consciously, where it's at a frequency where you won't generally recognize it. It's the same with a subliminal message. And I know I keep saying this, but this is the best way of explaining how this is possible. If you were to be watching a television program and you're engrossed in that television program and they flicker an image on that screen so fast that you don't actually consciously recognize it, your brain will still subconsciously take that in, and that could have any message on it. To program your brain. It could be support Trump. It could be attracted to children. It could be pay your taxes, whatever. All right, so they can have that ability. You can do the same through frequency sound waves, and I think this is why the cell towers are so important. And I think COVID possibly was where it went a little bit wrong, and they had to cover it up and said it was a virus. This is what I'm now starting to suspect with the amount of evidence I'm getting, where they were trying to use certain frequencies from the technology, and it went wrong, and it actually caused potential physical harm instead of the controlling people that it looks as though they were aiming for. That is what I suspect now, based on all of the evidence on why the cell towers link so closely into this international government fraud. And they were erected during COVID, a lot of them, but a lot of it was also in Wuhan, for example. They erected the cell towers in August 2019 in Wuhan in China. That was the month that Jeffrey Epstein supposedly died. The month prior to that, in July, is when there was a protest in Wuhan about incinerator plants being built. And also that's the month that, as I said, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in July 2019. That's when the article came out about Prince Harry wearing the same pair of shoes for a prolonged period of time. And there is evidence to suggest that that may have had, and it's quite substantial evidence, that he may have been wearing the skin of Madeleine McCann in his shoes at the time. And of course, after all of that, in December 2019 is when the supposed first outbreak was in Wuhan. And it was January, suddenly, Prince Harry suddenly moves to America to get away from the royal family. I think it's all connected to everything I'm saying, everybody. It is all connected. So anyway, let's carry on. So Forbes was born Scottish parents on the Isle of Wight on the 28th of June 1938, where Guy Briscoe had worked in the police and Deborah Fleming had been the NHS CEO. He was educated at Winchester College, a public school in Winchester in Hampshire. From 1963 to 1966, Forbes served as an instructor lieutenant to the Royal Navy, where Ian Fleming had been influential. Ian Fleming is linked to Deborah Fleming via her family, via the research, and she was the one that initiated my removal from Exbourne Manor. 1966 is the year of the foundation of the Church of Satan. Forbes was called to the bar in that year, 1966, the same year, as I've said, and in 1984, he was appointed to the Queen's Council. On the 5th of June 1990, the year after the World Wide Web was created for CERN, another spelling mistake, he was appointed as circuit judge. And from 1990 to 1993, he was an official referee of the Technology and Construction Court. as the relativistic heavy ion collider started to be built in New York. He was elected Bencher of the Inner Temple in 1991, the same year that David Icke came out and said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis, and is linked to the intelligence agencies. On the 24th of May 1993, he was appointed a High Court judge and was assigned to the Queen's Bench Division. In 2004, he was presiding judge of the Technology and Construction Court again. It's interesting, there's two different things there mentioning that. This is taken from the research. He retired from the High Court in January 2009, the same year that the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated on Companies House, and when I became a director of Exbourne Manor. Forbes was, where are we? In November 2009, almost 2 months to the day after the Royal Foundation of the company was incorporated, and around the time a corporation section of the Fraud Act 2006 was repealed. It looks like they repealed that act deliberately so they could carry out their agenda moving forward. It was section 10 of the act. Forbes was appointed chairman of the Al-Swedi inquiry, which is about, as we said, was set up to investigate allegations that British service personnel had murdered and ill-treated detainees in Iraq. So it looks as though they're trying to cover up torture and murder of Iraq using these people linking to the international government fraud. And as I've said, I 100% believe that the World Trade Center disaster was a collaborative deception, not at all what they said it was. And it's very likely, according to all of the research links with the collider technology, the relativistic heavy ion collider was activated for the first time in 2000. Okay, so they started building it in 1991 when David Icke said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. And then they actually activated it for the first time, according to the research, in 2000. A Companies House search shows that a Thane John Forbes with the same date of birth, having been appointed to St Hilary's School Trust Limited before the important year of 1992, and having resigned on the 9th of May 2011, less than 3 months after the Christchurch earthquake, which links to the collider technology. The company was incorporated in 1965, the same year that Jordans and Sons Limited, the main company in the fraud, was incorporated, and it dissolved on the 7th of October 2025, 6 days after my release from prison. And as the exposure continued, it connects immediately to the fraud by the Solicitors Law Stationery Society Limited on its incorporation document. So remember, this is the judge for the research of the judge for the Harold Shipman serial killer case. So I'll just show you that here. There you go. You can see the date of birth is the same for the research of him. They've swapped the names, I think. So the Thane was the middle, according to the research, and they've swapped the names round. Put Thane at the front. And then you can see the company was incorporated, as I said, 1965, dissolved 7th October 2025. It's no coincidence, everyone. 50, 60 years later, is that? As I'm exposing the fraud, you can see its original name here, from 1965 until 1980. 1980 is when the Georgia Guidestones were erected, which represented an upcoming man-made apocalyptic event. Martin Hugh Temple Gardner connects this company to 7 companies, including Woking Golf Club Estates Limited. It was incorporated as Woking Golf Club Estates in 1901, before its name was changed for the first time on the 18th of June 2001, just over a month before Larry Silverstein acquired the lease for the World Trade Center disaster. The only time it had changed hands, and on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster deception. David Milton Maxwell Beaver connects this company to others, including JJB Sports, Paragon Banking, a BT company, and various Commerce Bank companies, including Commerce Bank Leasing Limited, that was incorporated in 1973, had former names including Warburg and Dresdner Warburg. It had has Slaughter and May on its incorporation document. Commerce Bank is Germany's oldest bank, which was founded in 1870 during the invasion of Rome, and connects to various areas of the fraud, including the research of the Paris terrorist attacks that I've done. So I'm just going to show you that research. So in from that company, we want Gardner, and then we want Beaver. In from Gardner. There we go. Temple. There's no surprise they've got the name of Temple there. That's deliberate. That's deliberate. And you can see, look, they were appointed before the World Trade Center disaster and then resigned after the World Trade Center disaster. If you go into it, now all of these other companies are going to be relevant, but I haven't got a chance to look into all of them. Woking Golf Club, People Record, I've forgotten the name of the next person. Beaver. I'm off of Milie Dowler a little bit here, but you know, it's still very important. Oh, I've got the spelling wrong, but it's B-double-E. Premier Foods PLC links into the food industry. JJB Sports PLC. When did that dissolve? 2016. Incorporated the same year as the World Trade Center, as the World Economic Forum, 1971, and dissolved in 2016 when Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. JJB Sports PLC. Paragon Banking, that does feature elsewhere in the document. Northern Electric. You can see all utility companies are involved in this international government fraud. Everybody, you're all being massively exploited and victimized. Got Commerce Bank Leasing Limited. Which was the one we were going to look at? Can't remember. Commerce Bank Leasing Limited. If we go into it. Incorporated in 1973. Remember, that is the year that the Swift International Transaction System started to be used, and the same year that the World Trade Center building was finished being built, the same year that Soylent Green came out. You can see all of the previous names here. See the name change there, 30th of April 2001, on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster. Originally incorporated in 1973 as the British Industrial Corporation Investments. Okay, and what they do is they swap the company's names around. They move them all around, swap them around, try and avoid the accountability for their criminal network linked to the satanic cult organizations. But that's potentially an infiltration. And then if you just research, which I won't do now, you can just type that in. If you just type in Commerce Bank when it was built, when it was founded, it was 1870. And this actually links in with the Church of Satan, because the Church of Satan was actually founded after a night in Germany linking to Christian organizations. I can't remember the name. It was originally founded, as I said, 1966, the same year as the World Cup between Germany and England. That is no coincidence, everybody. And as I've said, it was originally founded, you'll see on the research, in 1870. And actually, I'm just going to show you the Slaughter and May. So if we go onto the incorporation document, Slaughter and May is not a coincidence. Okay, it's in the name, everybody. Slaughter. May is the month that they love to sacrifice, according to the research. You know, you've got Slaughter and May. Now, Slaughter and May links massively to the football industry. It's a huge part of the football industry. And Slaughter and May, the original company, I'll just show it to you in a minute. You can see it's there, Slaughter and May, on this incorporation document. May is the month that Madeleine McCann went missing. Remember what I just told you about May? She went missing on the 3rd of May 2007. Interesting, I've just noticed this. Look, they've changed the company number at the top. Look, they've forged the document, it looks like. As they're becoming exposed, they've crossed out the number, put another number to try and hide the forgery. I haven't actually looked much further down, but I'm going to show you Slaughter and May because it is important. So Slaughter and May, you'll see, was originally incorporated in 1954, the same year that CERN was founded. Okay, there you go. You can see it there. Slaughter and May, incorporated 1954, the year after the Queen's coronation. Fake Queen, almost certain, not a real Queen. Didn't use the Stone of Crone, Stone of Destiny, which is required. And this is when CERN Limited was created the year afterwards. MK Ultra, the MK Ultra program began in 1954, which is when the Queen was coronated. Now, just going to show you why this is a criminal company. So you'll notice it's got Slaughter and May Limited at the top, previous name at the bottom. It's claiming is True Sedator Properties Limited from 1954 to 1978. No other name they're claiming between those dates, 1954, 1978, just that name. If you look on the incorporation document, in the filing history, last document, AUI Holdings, completely different name on the incorporation document. And you'll notice the dates, they've got the same, July 1954. So that proves beyond all reasonable doubt that the governments have committed major fraud, because the governments control this register and they have put a different name. They've not put this name, okay, from the incorporation document with the same dates. They have put, as I showed you, True Sedator Properties Limited. Same date. Government fraud straight away. No way out of it for them. It's over. The whole system has to end. And I know exactly what system needs to be implemented. A transparent system, financial system, and exactly what needs to be done. So there's no chaos into a transitional new earth, which will practically bring heaven on earth. Because what you'll do is you'll remove the disparity between the rich and poor through the new system that I'm suggesting. And you will bring in accountability and liability. And it will never happen again, because the technology will be used to ensure that it doesn't happen again, where the attack against humanity cannot take place using public spending money. So if we go back to the document, I know we've come off of Dowler a little bit here. Just want to see if there's anything else here. Referring back to St Hilary's School Limited, Honor Emily Margaret Alens resigned Royal Foundation the day before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated, and connects to 9 companies, including, oh yeah, this is why we came to it, isn't it? Including, bearing in mind, we were looking at this on the research of the, coming in from the research of the, where were we? It was the barrister for Brian Harvey, wasn't it? We were looking at. So we came across this girl's company. On this company now, so they resigned the day before. Okay, referring back to the first company we were looking at from Harold Shipman's, the first one, okay, where his name was connected to, 9 companies, including a college in Tunbridge Wells, various religious companies, and the Girls' School Association, that makes important connections throughout the fraud, and as we've seen, to the company research of where we were coming in. So there's my former colleague, Guy Briscoe. It's not something I would normally do, put pictures of people in all of this, but however, the police are not responding. Nobody's responding to the obvious evidence of this international government fraud, so I have to go for maximum exposure. Guy Briscoe is one of my former colleagues, I'll just mention this now, and befriended me when I moved to Bournemouth. This was whilst he was a police community support officer before he applied to become a police constable, where he initially got a job on the Isle of Wight, where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS CEO before he transferred to Hampshire's mainland in the training sector of the police. Like Jock Condon, who was one of my other former colleagues who had introduced me to purchasing the flat at Exbourne Manor, Guy Briscoe would often show his warrant card whilst off duty on nights out to seemingly try and influence things in his favour. As mentioned elsewhere in the document, I had acquired evidence surrounding my friends in Kent, Daniel Ailing and his wife Emma, former name Lee, which is the same name as the Cray's mother. And Emma had been brought up on the Isle of Wight. The evidence linked Emma almost immediately to Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP that is connected to the record for a Dave Courtney that was an associate of the Cray twins. And the company is shown on page 40 of the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, which links immediately to the intelligence agencies via the Hackler International Advisory Board and the Russian government. And that company is dissolved since I've exposed it. I gave the opportunity for Emma to explain the connections that I'd found, but instead, the following day, several of my friends removed themselves from group messages with me after my wife, Lisa Morton, had done the same. So you can see when they remove themselves from group messages. This included my friends Guy Briscoe and his wife. Oh, it's not loading up. What's happened there? Oh, sorry, I'm just going to pause the live and get the document back. Bear with me. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'll just explain that last bit rather than finding it, and we'll get the Milie Dowler stuff back up, because that's what I was really focusing on tonight. But eventually you see research coming in from Guy Briscoe. It links back to almost, I mean, I say eventually, it's almost instantly, to the UCI and Odeon company, the same UCI and Odeon company that you saw that I mentioned coming in from the research of Harold Shipman. And that also links to the Las Vegas shootings as well via that research. And I've got nearly all of this evidence is all screenshotted and secured. I will be looking at how that link has disappeared to what we were looking at earlier. So I'm just waiting for Dowler to come back up. And I was going to show you I won't show you it, but within the document, so we had this girls' school company, girls' association company that we were talking about. Well, that also links to Boris Johnson and the research surrounding him and the COVID response. And you'll see the same company linking into the research of Boris Johnson, and then it links in with the 3i companies as well. Okay, so let's just get back to, because I went off a little bit there on what we were talking about. So we're talking about David Sherborne. We looked at the Leveson research, the girls' school that we spoke about. And remember, this company was called the Lady Catherine. What was it called? The Lady Catherine. The Foundation of Lady Catherine Leveson. Now, this is quite important. Research shows that the Lady Catherine Leveson in the company relates to Temple Balsall. And remember, the address was Temple Balsall, that is named after and dates back to the Knights Templar, and the research surrounding my family connects to the Knights Templar via a 13th century building in Rochester, Kent. If we just go into that, you'll be able to see that research on Wikipedia. Temple Balsall. On her death, Lady Leveson left endowments for almshouses, the Lady Catherine Leveson Primary School, and the local church. See, Temple Balsall is a village in the civil parish of Balsall in the metropolitan borough of Solihull in the English West Midlands, situated between the large village of Knowles. Details as taken at the 2011 census can be found, and Balsall Common. It was formerly in Warwickshire, and is a notoriously bad series. Has a notoriously bad series of bends on the road there. It's one of the oldest and most interesting sites in the borough. It is named after and dates from the time of the 13th century dates from the time of the Knights Templar. So you can see it ties in with the Knights Templar. So that was coming in from the Leveson research. And if I'm just going to go back to the address just so you can see it. And actually, it's interesting because we have this Warwick Independent Schools Foundation as well, and that used to be in Warwickshire, according to that. So that would make sense, wouldn't it, coming in from that company? And that was linking in from from the foundation of Lady Catherine Leveson. So I'll just show you the address just so you can see. It's got the Temple House, Temple Balsall. All right, so we now know there's a link to the Knights Templar in from the research of the Leveson inquiry, which ties in with the Milie Dowler case. Now, if we move on. Referring back to David Sherborne, remember this is the barrister that, I've forgotten his name, Brian Harvey was using from E17. From 2023 onwards, as the fraud exposure escalated, he has represented Prince Harry. Okay, now what have I been saying about Prince Harry recently, tying in with the Madeleine McCann? Okay, so now suddenly he comes in as the barrister for Prince Harry in relation to a case against the Mirror Group, okay, and several other UK newspapers. Prince Harry is heavily implicated in the criminal network, and research suggests there are possible connections to him and Madeleine McCann's fate, as shown elsewhere in the document. Only one entry appears on Companies House when searching for a David Sherborne, and it connects to DWS Strategic Resolutions Limited that was incorporated in 2025 as the exposure continued. The only director is shown as Walter Soriano. Research shows that Soriano is a personal friend of Benjamin Netanyahu and is connected to security and intelligence, with him also having participated in discussions regarding potential Russian interference in Donald Trump's election. So I'm just going to show you this research quickly. This is all leading into Milie Dowler. Believe it or not, you'll see that the phone inquiries, the phone hacking case, all links into this and into Daniel Morgan, the death of Daniel Morgan. Incorporated 2025, as I'm exposing the fraud. You can see his name, David Sherborne. And we have a Walter Soriano. Don't know if there's any, I can't remember. No other directors there. Can't remember, does he link to any other? No other directors. Okay, so we've got this Walter Soriano linking into it from the same date. Here's the research of Soriano. I don't know if I just accidentally clicked on that. Yeah. Did I click on that accidentally there? No. Oh, it's lost the page. That's annoying. Okay, so we'll try and find it again. Soriano. Do wonder if they do that deliberately sometimes. Just waiting for it to... Hopefully this is all making sense to everyone. Like I say, I'm going to come on to a... we'll do questions later. So Walter Soriano, just to show you the research, who he is. Walter Soriano is a British businessman, security consultant. He's the CEO and owner of several companies. Soriano was one of the founders of an association dedicated to the memory of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's brother, who was killed during Operation Entebbe. According to a report by Globes, he helped collect evidence for the defense of billionaire Ruth Parasol and her then husband, Ruth De Leon, who were being investigated by authorities in the United States between 2008 and 2011. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Israeli journalist Raviv Drucker in 2018. Reported that in June 2019, he was asked to participate voluntarily in a closed-door hearing by the United States Senate Intelligence Committee on Russia's interference in 2016 US president election. He sued Twitter in Dublin for defamation in order to stop false and malicious allegations about him online. He founded an anti-cyberbullying association in UK in 2020. So you can see how this then links in with Israel via Benjamin Netanyahu. A separate company's house search for Walter Soriano shows duplicate records, with one connected to Universe Security Group Limited that was incorporated in 2002, the year after the World Trade Center disaster, and connects immediately to the fraud and quickly to Export Manor Freehold Limited by Water Legal Company Services on its incorporation document, which they have now removed from the company's house records. Is Walter Soriano, Universe Security Group. 2002, year after the World Trade Center disaster. Had the same name for 2 months. Bell Dome. They love their domes. Remember, Donald Trump's talking about a dome, isn't he? Over America, defense dome. You've got the Israeli dome, supposedly. Interesting. Shipley's LLP. Just been talking about Harold Shipley. Is that his name? It was Harold Shipley, wasn't it? Yeah. Not getting that wrong, am I? On its incorporation document, I'll just show you Waterloo's. Waterloo's connects to the currency producer De La Rue. De La Rue purchased Waterloo in, I think it was 1961, I think. Okay, and then they started printing money for the Bank of Iran in the 1960s, I think. Yeah, 1960s. You can see Waterloo Legal Company and Services. They have now removed that company from the company's house record since I have exposed it, and that linked very quickly to Export Manor. I can't now find that company, so I think they've removed it. Pretty sure. Michael Stephen Bluestone connects this company to 9 companies, including Ajax, the Jewish Military Association, that was incorporated as the Jewish Military Museum in 2009, the same year as the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, before its name was changed in 2022 as the exposure began. Bluestone also connects to British Security Industry Association that connects that connects immediately to the research of the death of Jill Dando via her co-host Nick Ross, and leads to the Vatican and De Rea family companies, which is so important in all of this. Okay, the De Rea family at Export Manor. You had Sam De Rea, who was the Assistant Chief Constable of Dorset Police when I made the initial reports. Anthony De Rea started the company Export Manor Freehold Limited and is linked to the military. There's 2 important De Rea companies I've come across. One linking to the death of Jill Dando and to the Vatican, linking it together. And the other was coming in from Prince Andrew, the Duke of Edinburgh Theatre, linking in with, I think it was coming in from one of the mass shootings or mass murders again. You had the Duke of Edinburgh, and there again, next to it was a company called Beavers Film Limited. This is linked into the sex trade, so I suspect that related to a particular part of a body. And on that... that company, the Beavers Company, was incorporated in 1962, which appears to have been around the time that the infiltration of the royal family occurred. Okay, so we now have a connection via the research of all of this into Jill Dando's death as well, very, very quickly linking in. Referring back to Universe Security Group Limited, Harvey Murray Sonning connects to Youth Alaya Child Rescue, Templewood Companies, and the President's Club Limited. Okay, that was incorporated at an important time in July 1991, leading into the plan of the apparent falsified prophecies, and it dissolved in October 2024 as the exposure continued. So what I'll do, I'm just going to go through and show you some of this. So I'm verifying it with you on the screen. Bluestone. So we're looking for Michael Stephen Bluestone. And then Harvey Murray. Oh, Harvey Murray within there. We'll just go straight to him. Interesting name of Harvey Murray. This is massively linked into the Dunblane massacre. And the Murray family appear to be implicated in a huge way. All right. Andy Murray was a surviving member of that massacre. His family are massively implicated in this. So there we have Walter Soriano. Sorry about that, I just had to do something quickly. So we've got Waterloo. Where are we? Have I pressed the button? So we've got Universe Securities, and we were going to go in through and look at there's Walter Serrani, there's Bluestone that we were looking at. And then the other name, what was the surname? It's gone out of my head, sorry. Oh, I've turned my... Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to turn the video off there. So we're looking for Robert David. No, we're looking for what was his name? Sonning. Yeah. So here is Sonning, Harvey Murray Sonning. Notice they were appointed for a month, just over a month, in 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster. 55 companies, including I urge everyone to record all of this. Hopefully you are. HMS Security Services, which is going to be relevant in all of this. Temple Woods. The President's Club, there we go. The President's Club was incorporated in 1991, that key year when David Icke said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis, and he's linked to the intelligence agencies, and it dissolved as I continued the fraud exposure in October 2024. You'll notice, actually I won't show you because I haven't got time to do that as well, but on its incorporation document I can tell by this shelf code that it's very likely going to be the Slaughter and May again, but let's just have a quick look. I've probably mentioned it anyway on my... Okay, so they've hidden the incorporation document, so I can't see the incorporation document. So the President's Club, why does this become important? Well, from the name, obviously, but also David Robert Mellor connects the President's Club to 53 companies, including the Mayor's Fund for London and Cherwell Films LLP, Tamar Films LLP, Swale Films LLP, and others. And they make immediate connections to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that connects almost all areas of the fraud, and quickly to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom, as shown elsewhere in the document. Research shows that David Mellor was connected to a scandal of sexual misconduct against waitresses at an event held at the President's Club that was linked to the Harvey Weinstein inquiry, and where he was the co-chairman. Some MPs called for the resignation of Children and Families Minister Nadim Zawari, who had been among the guests at that particular night. Research shows that on the 5th of July 2022, Zawari became the Chancellor of the Exchequer after the resignation of Rishi Sunak. This was the same day that CERN conducted its first experiment in 3 years, which would take it back obviously to the July 19 when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. And this was the day before the Georgia Guidestones were damaged and removed, and 3 days before I approached Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, triggering the exposure that I've found. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of this. So we want David Mellor within the President's Club. just to show you his name. There he is, David Meller. And he links to the Jewish Museum as well. So we have the Jewish connection. An infiltrated Jewish group. I don't believe it is real Jews. I think they've infiltrated the Jewish faith group. President's Club. British Friends of Jaffa. Cherwell Films. Okay, so within my document, you can then cross-reference and see where these link in with the Satanic Temple. So we know it's not going to be real Jewish because they're linked to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom company. So it's going to be another group. So they link in with that. Research shows that, as I've said, he became the Chancellor of the Exchequer at that important time. And I'll just show you the Wikipedia, just so you've got it there and you're seeing it. There you go, you can see 25th of October 2022. That's the same month that a interfaith meeting took place with Pietro Parolin linking in with the prophecy of the popes. And he's linked to the, or was linked to the children's. He was at this event. Children's and Families Minister. Okay, he was. A company sales search for him connects him to 16 companies, including various YouGov companies, appearing to make a reference to the government's website, with one being YouGov Centaur 2 Limited, that was incorporated in February 2007, 3 months before Madeleine McCann's disappearance. And its name was changed for the only time 6 months afterwards, and 3 months after Export Manor Freehold Limited began. Centaur, the name in that company, also refers to nuclear weapons that is associated with Atlas companies, and Atlas was also the name of the experiment at CERN in 2012, as shown elsewhere in the document. Ian Paul Hartin Roberts connects this company, the Centaur company, to various Centaur companies and Morvis Mazars Trustee Company Limited. Forvis Mazars companies make important connections throughout the document, including to Jeffrey Epstein. And I suspect, and I actually don't suspect now, it's fairly conclusive, that these Mazars companies relate to Mazzini, and links back in with the Albert Pike letter written to Mazzini to take over the world in the 3 World War deceptions, going right back to 1871 when that was written, but actually a plan going right back to the Reformation, linking into the Vatican in all of this. Roberts also connects to Centaur Media PLC, and Alton Fernando Irby 3 connects that company to NatWest and Capita companies, and to Q Media Group UK Holdings Limited, with Q Media companies making important connections to the Russian government, reports of fraud, Portsmouth Football Club, and an actual Mazzini Garibaldi company, as I've just said, and Italian earthquake company that was discovered due to the change in the filing history as the fraud is being exposed, as shown elsewhere in the document. And I haven't mentioned it there, but that also links almost immediately in to Madeleine McCann again, Donald Trump, and the royal family members again coming in from that research around the Mazzini company and around the earthquake company that you can see linking in with Italy elsewhere in the document. The Capita company is also important because Capita links immediately to Ricky Dearman on the research of the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry. According to the research, the annual event at the President's Club had only been for males, and invited guests on that particular night included the following people: Liam Botham, rugby player; Richard Caring, businessman; Gina De Campo, celebrity chef; Christopher Evans, biotechnology entrepreneur; Philip Green, already featured in my 4, retail executive; George Holmes, university executive; Peter Jones, Dragon's Den star; Vernon Kay, TV presenter; Jimmy Lloyd, on a restaurateur; Brett Palos, property developer; Theo I just spelled his name, Pafitis, from Dragon's Den; Harry Primrose, Lord Dalmy, Deputy Chairman of Sotheby's; Rami Ranger, founder of Sunmark; Bruce Ritchie, property developer; Peter Shalson, property developer; Tim Steiner, co-founder and CEO of Ocado; Tuka Suleiman, fashion entrepreneur. Robert, whatever that surname is, businessman. Selwyn Thine, Viscount of Weymouth. Bearing in mind that's in Dorset, where Deborah was the NHS chief executive. Suddenly there's a Viscount of an area in there that was invited. Dan Wagner, internet entrepreneur, and Poju Zablowski, businessman. They were all invited, not saying they've done anything wrong. They were invited to that night where there was sexual abuse towards the waitresses. And actually a video on it that you can go and I think I've got the video here. I might put it in there. I suspect that this is one of many events funded by money stolen from the masses through tax and other financial institutions using the company's house fraud and used in sexual exploitation and unimaginable crimes against children, according to the research. Oh yeah, there is a video on it. Is it a video I've got here? Oh no, this is just an article about it. January 2018. Current and former trustees of Men Only Club at the heart of a sexual harassment scandal unfolding in the UK have deep ties to the Israel lobby. So now what we've done is we've found a link, and it's very quickly on the scale of things, from David Sherborne, from this information provided, linking in with Lily Dowler, Madeleine McCann and everything else, all coming in now and linking with this. Okay, it's all tying together very, very quickly indeed via the research. So if we go back to the document. Okay, so the case of Milie Dowler, how does this all fit in with this? The case of Milie Dowler is mentioned in the research of David Sherborne and by Brian Harvey. And involved the apparent murder of 13-year-old Milie, who went missing from Surrey on the 12th of March 2002, almost 6 months to the day after the World Trade Center disaster. Her remains were found in September that year in Yateley in Hampshire, not far from Dorset. On the 23rd of June 2011, 4 months almost to the day after the Christchurch earthquake, Levi Belfield, already subject to 3 life sentences with a whole life tariff imposed for murders of others, including Marcia McDonnell and Amelia Delagrange, and an attempted murder of Kate Sheedy, all of which had taken place after Millie's murder, was found guilty of abducting and murdering Milie Dowler. He received another whole life sentence, supposedly, on the 27th of January 2016, as the Pizzagate scandal is being exposed. Surrey police announced that Belfield had admitted to abducting, raping and murdering Milie Dowler. Although a company's house search shows no record of Levi Belfield, the suspect in the Milie Dowler case, another website shows someone of the same name, born in May 1968, having been connected to 3 companies, including Atlas Ocean Air Limited. Remember, Atlas is the name linking to nuclear weapons, linking to the 3i Atlas, linking to the experiment at CERN in 2012. And it had this company number that had been incorporated in 1998. Okay, so this is leading up to the death of Milie Dowler. So I'm just looking at it was 2002, wasn't it? So we've got this company 1998 and having dissolved, but not saying when and where it dissolved. Paul Brown had also been a director. The nature of business is shown as cargo handling for air transport activities. So I'm just going to show you this and hope it loads up. But it's not on Company's House, okay? So it's been removed from Company's House by the government. You can see the name at the top. Can't zoom. Oh yeah, I can zoom in. Levi sugar. Bear with me. Levi Belfield. Same name as the suspect for the Milie Dowler case. Here you can see the companies, 3 companies. Now I've only gone into one, Atlas Ocean Air Limited. You can see that in the middle there. I haven't looked at the other 2 yet. You've got Atlantis Ocean. Okay, so now let's go back to my document. A separate Company's House search shows another company of the same name, Atlas Ocean Air, Limited, having been incorporated in 2003 later. So they removed the previous name with Belfield's name on it, but somebody has created a new company name the year after Milie Dowler went missing, and having dissolved on the 31st of March 2020, 8 days after Boris Johnson announced the COVID lockdown. It has Business Tax Centre NW, which will be Northwest, I presume, Limited, with an address in Lancashire on its incorporation document. And the filing history shows that its registered address had been Chiltern Partnership in Oxfordshire in 2000. Oh, I've got the date wrong there. I don't know what date that is. But we're going to look into it anyway. The nature of business is shown as freight transport by road. Remember, the other company was freight transport by air. Here's this company, freight transport by road, and you have got air transport. There you go as well. Air transport. So we can fairly safely assume that this is going to be linked to Belfield, okay, to the suspect of the Milie Dowler case, incorporated in 2003 and dissolved in March 2020. Now, if we go, let me just look at this again. A separate search for Chiltern Partnership. Remember, it was on the, I'm just going to show you where that is. Is it on the incorporation document? The filing history shows that its registered address had been the Chiltern Partnership in Oxfordshire. Oh, it's obviously not 2028, so I'll have to have a quick look at that. Filing history. Got to be 2020, I'm presuming. Yeah, here we go. It's 2018, sorry. Okay, yeah, so I just put a 2 in there. Okay, notice here, within the company, so we're within, this is really important, we're within the Atlas Ocean Air Limited. You can see, 2018. I've lost it. Go back. (2018) Chiltern Partnership. Okay. Just have a quick look at any of the other bits. Now, if we go back to the document, a separate search for Chiltern Partnership reveals KMB Management Limited that had been incorporated as Chiltern Partnership Limited in 1999, before she went missing, and before its name had been changed in January 2020, which is the same month that Prince Harry suddenly goes to America, and the month after the outbreak of COVID. It dissolved in December 2022, the same month that I made my first initial report to Action Fraud in relation to the international government fraud. So let's just confirm that. Original name, you can see, Chiltern Partnership, the same as on the filing history. Incorporated, 1999. Changed its name January 2020. Dissolved the month I made the report. So you can see they're panicking. They're shutting things down because it is all being exposed. A separate search for Business Tax NW Limited. So that was on the incorporation document for the first Atlas Ocean Air Limited. I'm just going to show you that. It's important that you see this. So on the incorporation document, you can see how this is exposing everything that's been going on in the world, everybody, all right? All of the problems that humanity's been facing is because of this. The crimes against the children. Business Tax Centre, you can see it here in the middle. Business Tax Centre NW Limited, okay? Business Tax Centre NW Limited. So a separate search for Business Tax Centre NW Limited that was on the incorporation document, as I said, of Atlas Ocean Air Limited reveals that Business Tax Centre Limited had been incorporated as Business Tax Centre NW Limited in 2000, before its name had been changed in 2004. John Charles Turner connects this company to 18, including Downham Train Epstein Limited. Right, we're going to go in and look at this. Epstein name. So here's the company. You can see its name was what is on the incorporation document, Business Tax Centre NW Limited. Okay, so we now have a link to Belfield, to this company via the research, incorporated almost a year to the day before the World Trade Center disaster. Okay, the disaster was on the 11th of September 2001. And if we go into the people record, we're looking for John Charles Turner. There you go, it's already still highlighted. Downham Train, Epstein. Appointed 2008, same year that the Large Hadron Collider was first activated, the year after Madeleine McCann went missing. Resigned on the 30th of May 2012, which is the month after Jeffrey Epstein held a meeting with CERN scientists and Stephen Hawking. And Stephen Hawking wanted CERN to create a black hole on Earth. This is less than 3 months. That was less than 3 months before CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson, a God particle, on the 4th of July 2012. So here we have an Epstein name now linking in to all of this. It was incorporated in 1992, this company, the same year that the Companies House Register started to become electronic and the the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Its previous name was Downham Train Epstein PLC from 1992, and then changed it as Epstein after Epstein, on the lead up, the month after Jeffrey Epstein and held a meeting with Stephen Hawking and CERN scientists. And then they changed the name from Downham Train Epstein to this. John Charles Turner connects business. Oh, we've done that. Just over a month after Jeffrey Epstein had held a meeting. Yeah. Stephen Hawking, I mentioned that. The company has a correspondence address of DTE and was incorporated as Downham Train Epstein PLC in 1992, the same year that the Companies House Register started to become electronic and the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Its name was changed on the 25th of May 2012, and it is a criminal company, having been incorporated with the London Law Agency. Okay, that's one of the main companies in the fraud, and I'll just show you that. That makes a link straight to Keir Starmer. Okay, via this company now, via the company on the incorporation document, and it makes a link straight to Madeleine McCann, the Madeleine McCann company. Okay, and not only is it, you can see the 84 Temple Chambers, the Temple Chamber address, that is links in with my dreams and my visions, in with my family and the infiltration of the royal family. And of course, the word temple is very important. And you can see that name, Michael John Hope, that actually features throughout the fraud in various ways. Okay, and you can see the London Law Agency at the bottom here. That is a criminal organisation that links to Keir Starmer and the Madeleine McCann case and company. See if there's anything else on here. If we go into the address, you'll see what I said, unless they've changed it. But I should be able to. Hey, it looks like they have changed it. The exchange. Let's have a look at the filing history. Looks like they have changed it. Interesting. And they haven't put the change. Let me just go back. Because obviously this document's being circulated. They'll be seeing it. So what have they done there? Let's have a little look. The company was... Oh, company has a correspondence address. Sorry. Okay, not the registered. So we'll go back. We'll look at that in a minute. Has a correspondence address of DTE. Okay, that becomes important. Its name, as you said, London Law Agency. This is the first company out of likely over 300,000 investigated with Epstein actually in the title of the name. Downham, which is, remember, it's got Downham in the company name, is a village in Lancashire where Whistledown, the Wind film, was made. This is just a bit of an interesting information, which is possibly deliberately placed. Was made and released in 1961. It was about a murderer wrongly identified by children as being Jesus Christ. Several of the directors of Downham Train Epstein Limited connect to DTE Insurance Brokers Limited. But before we go to that, I just want to show you where DTE is in the correspondence address, so we can make that link then. Hopefully it's still there. Yeah, there you go. So this is the correspondence address for the Epstein Company. You can see it here. You can see DTE House. Okay, DTE. And then when you go in, it's just a different address on the correspondence list. Okay. Now, several of them link to, what's it called? DTE. Oh, got it here anyway, but I'll go in through the links. Several of the directors of this company connect to DTE Insurance Brokers Limited that was incorporated in 1976, and its name had been changed at a key time, with the last being 1995. This is the same year as the intelligence agency and Russian and royal family linked Hacklow International Advisory Board company was created. Its incorporation document shown within a selection of documents in 1995 shows that it is also a criminal company, with George Albert Cordroy. Oh yeah, I forgot this. This is important. George Albert Cordroy, the London Law Agency Limited, and Temple Chambers on its incorporation document. So what we'll do is we'll just go in and find DT Insurance Brokers through the company we were looking at. I'm not too sure if this same name record is. Doesn't look like they are. Oh, no, they are. There you go. DTE Insurance Brokers, 1976. See the different name changes there. 1976 changed in 1978. It's got DTE, various DTA names. And then if we look on the filing history, because this does become quite important, it's in a selection of documents. You have to look for it a bit more with this. And where they've tried to, it seems, make it harder to find it, I normally start from the back and go forward in time, because then you can see it easier. Selection of documents, normally. Page 4 it must be then. Count. There we go. Selection of documents. Now that will be because the Hacklow International Advisory Board, I believe, because the Hacklow International Advisory Board was created that year. So they then put the documents in with these files. And on this file, you'll see George Albert Cordroy. Now, I'd never seen that name before. You can see it's got Temple Chambers, Temple Avenue underneath, which features all the way through the fraud. And you can see you've got Downham Computer Services on there. Interesting. Temple Chambers, the London Law Agency. Okay, so now that name becomes important because of the following. This is the first time I've seen the name, as I said, and an internet search shows that he was the founder of the London Law Agency, probably the second most important company in the fraud, that was originally, according to one company's house record, started in 1967. However, it says here, possibly the second most used company, as I've said, in the fraud, had lived in Kent. That's where I'm from. That links to the Cray twins. That also links to the Doomsday cult, linking in with Julian Assange, links to properties within Kent. All right, all of my family, not all of them, but three of my family's members all connect to Exbourne Manor, Elon Musk, Jeffrey Epstein. The research from them, anyway. Jeffrey Epstein, David Icke, Julian Assange, the Doomsday cult, the Knights Templar, all linking in from all three of my families. So he lived in Kent, and he passed away on the 5th of April 2020. Well, this is the exact same day that Keir Starmer resigned from the Death Penalty Project Limited, that has the London Law Agency on its incorporation document. Okay, and that is not long after the COVID situation, whilst it's all still going on. This is the same day. Okay, as I've said, where was I going there? Incorporation document, and connects immediately to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales and the Madeleine Madeline's Fund, Leaving No Stone Unturned Limited, and to P. Diddy, or Sean Coombs, you may know him as via Bates Wells and Braithwaite's. And Sean Coombs used Bates Wells and Braithwaite as his defence solicitors. The article claims the London Law Agency had been founded in 1969, the same year that Charles became the Prince of Wales. But London Law Agency, on the Company's House record, had been incorporated on Company's House in 1967, 2 years earlier. I'll just show you the website. It loads up so you can see his name. London Law Agency regrets to announce that its founder, George A. Corduroy, died on the 5th of April 2020. If you go and type in the Death Penalty Project Limited, go and look, find Keir Starmer's name in the People record, you'll see that's the exact day that he resigned from that company. So I suspect he, and it was obviously after the COVID outbreak, not long after, what's his name? Gordon Bowden supposedly died, which Brian Harvey had actually, I think, met Gordon Bowden. I'm sure he told me he'd met Gordon Bowden, where this is all stemming from. A separate Company's House search for George Albert Corduroy connects to the Law Service Association and Association of Company Registration Agents that both have forged registers and connect immediately to Vistra Limited, the main company in the fraud. And that's Jordan's Limited. It's the same, okay? Vistra is Jordan. Here's the separate word, separate name, check. See the Law Association. Let's go into it. See, dissolved in 2016 as the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. Created in 1974. Not too sure where I saw the Vistra connection. This is all new information, by the way, I'm just looking at here, seeing if it connects immediately to anything interesting. Under the law agency there you go. So he is linked to the organisation, I'll just show it whilst we're here, 1967. Whereas the website claims that the company was started in 1969, the same year that Prince Charles became the Prince of Wales. This is the second most important company probably in the fraud, linking to the criminal organisation. You can see London Law Agency at the top. No other companies at the bottom named, okay, on the overview. If you go into the filing history, wrong one, filing history, incorporation document, you can see it's got a hidden name of Ganvalon Motors. All right, even though the date is the same, you can see Jordan's and Sons at the bottom, which is Vistra. So that makes the link to Vistra as well. And the date on it, you can see October 1967. That address features throughout the fraud. Clifford's Inn. Very likely to do with Max, potentially linked in with Max Clifford somehow, that name of it. You see May 1967. And again, Motors is the company name on here. Name of company, Ganvalon Motors. But they have put on the register, they have put London Law Agency and nothing else. And they have claimed that it only had that name from 1967 until now. So they have lied. Okay, so it's fraud by our government. Definitely major international government fraud by our governments and their organisations. The police are involved, the intelligence agencies, the heads of the military, the MPs, the councillors, all involved in this criminal network against humanity. And none of them are speaking out about it. So they all need to be arrested, really. But we need to start strategically very soon. If you don't do anything, then all of the evidence suggests that humanity is in serious trouble from these people. If we go back to the research of Dowler, it's just going to have to load up again. Okay, so where did we get to? It gets very, very interesting as we move forward in all of this. So we've done Bluestone, reverting back to, yeah, we've looked at that. Names. Okay. The case of Milie Dowler, as we've mentioned, is important in all of this. She went missing. We've looked at the case, the initial research of Belfield. We've mentioned the link to DTE insurance. Yeah, we started mentioning that. Oh. Hope everyone's doing really well. Okay, we've done that. Yeah, mention that. We've done that there. Just having a look. Janet Francis Matheson, Connects Law Services Association, we're looking at. YES Professional Services Limited. It was incorporated in 1976 and is shown as being in administration. This company connects to the research of Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, and Douglas Smith. Then you can see that elsewhere in the document. So we can pretty much confirm that that Epstein name does relate to Jeffrey Epstein. All right, because of the where this leads to, OYES is already linked to the research of Jeffrey Epstein in the research. So now that links Jeffrey Epstein to the Dowler case. Okay, in all of this. A search for Milie's fund. According to the research, following their daughter's death, Milie Dowler's parents, Sally and Bob Dowler, established a charity called Milie's Fund to promote public safety, and in particular the safety of the children and young people. A search for Milie's Fund charity number, this having been started on the 2nd of October 2002 and removed in 2005. But there are no names shown linked to the charity that I can see, which is very unusual. Now, hopefully you can consider what we're moving towards the possibility in all of this. Here's the company. You can see Milie's Fund at the top. Now, I haven't been able to see any names attached to this charity on here. Let's just go through it a little bit. Governance. So you can see it started on October 2002, so that ties in with the missing Milie Dowler. Now, Sally, you need to get in contact with me. So far, I put a video out and you haven't. Either you or the father of Milie Dowler really needs to contact me, because I tell you what it's looking like. Okay, well, I won't mention it at the moment, but as you go through, people will get an idea what this is looking like. Okay, it's a deception. So you need to contact me. If we go back into the records, you'll see what I'm talking about here. According to the research, Milie Dowler's parents are Sally, born July 1966, and Bob Dowler, aged 59 in 2011. At the time of it, there's no date of birth publicly available for him. A company South Search shows Sally Ann Dowler connected to Ali Medical Services, where she was appointed in October 2022. This is the same month that the meeting took place with Pietro Parolin and the prophecy of the popes, as I'm exposing the international government fraud. The company was incorporated the same day and shows it having already dissolved on the 23rd, sorry, I thought it was the 25th, I said last night, 23rd of December 2025, even though the date that I did this research was the 18th of December that year. It shows Dowler as being a doctor and a second director called Louise Lodewick Preta, born May 1955. So let's just go into this record for Sally. I hope you please contact me as soon as you can on my email address, GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. So you can see a Sally Ann Dowler, 1966, same year as the foundation of the Church of Satan. If we go into the company, you'll see it was incorporated October 2022, the same month as the interfaith meeting involving Pietro Parolin, dissolved now 23rd December 2025. However, it was actually showing that earlier than that date, which shouldn't even be possible. Should not even be possible. Now, they applied to strike the company off, you can see, on the 7th October 2025, 7 days after I was released from prison, or 6 days. Just having a quick look through if there's anything else there. What does it say on the incorporation document? Can't remember. Sally Dowler, the only, I know two directors. Yeah, there's the other one that we were talking about. An artist born in 1955. Same year as the first, which is probably going to be relative, same year that the first Walt Disney Resort opened in America and California. That actually relates to this, believe it or not, in quite a huge way. Another record shows a Sally Ann Dowler with a different date of birth connected to the Mears Foundation, which was incorporated on the 16th of September 2009, 3 days after I became a director at Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and within days of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales being incorporated, which links all areas of the fraud. A Christine Marie Amelie Loosecat Van, funny name, look, Nieuwhuis, connects this company to 14 companies, including Peace Child International, that was incorporated in June 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster, and shows William Hawthorne connected to Russian Conferences Limited on page 9 of its incorporation document. Let's just go back into this. Bearing in mind we've got an international collaborative deception involving the Russian government in all of this. Here you have Sally Ann Dowler. So the same, remember the other record was a Sally Ann Dowler with the correct date of birth for the Sally Dowler of missing Dowler, Milie Dowler. And now we've got someone with the same name, Sally Ann Dowler, but a different date of birth, linking to the Mears Foundation, appointed literally days before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated, days before I became a director of Exbourne Manor, and then they resigned as the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed in 2016. The same year that a ritual took place at CERN by the Shiva statue representing destruction and creation. If we go into the Mears Foundation, was it on the incorporation.com I mentioned this? No. So we want to go to funny, unusual name. New. Sorry, I didn't mean it's a funny name. It's just unusual to me, of course. Here's the unusual name. I haven't gone into all of these other companies, but interesting. Advanced advocacy and non-violence community education. So this will link into the police through this. Okay, I'm finding that when you have the links to the domestic violence, etc., non-violence sort of stuff, you then link to the police generally. You got UK China Partners, Noodlehead Music, London Design Embassy, Tales of the City, Peace Child International, British Design Initiative, the British Design Initiative, and on Peace Child International, which I have seen in my research elsewhere, incorporated year after the World Trade Center disaster. Filing history, was it? Look what else we can see. Penningtons, they link to the fraud. I've already got research on Penningtons being linked into the fraud. The whole thing is centralized to this criminal network. That's pretty much obvious. All solicitors, all accountants, all financial advisors linked to the taxation system. It's worth trillions in fraud. There you go. This is interesting. You can see they've removed some names, trying to hide some names as the exposure happens, where they're panicking. Oh dear, my name's on that. Russian conferences. Okay, so we have the link via this person to Russia. Okay, and we're going to see where that leads. So it's a William Hawthorne. Let's have a quick look what else there is on here. Joint Development Director of Youth Charity plus Freelance Project Manager. Self-Healing Foundation. The Coach House, this is interesting. This is an address they use all the way through the fraud. Now, you've got the Stagecoach are involved in this fraud, international fraud. Now, their symbol is 3/6s twisted round. 666, like the CERN logo, like other logos as well. The World Economic Forum has 666 in it as well. So that Russian company, I think where I went with that is research of that then, and it became quite interesting. Looscat appears to be Christine Looscat van Noyers, born the 17th of October 1965, MBA, FRSA. As a creative industries trade and investment specialist, she has created, designed and delivered programs and events, including the British Business Embassy at Lancaster House during the London 2012 Olympics. Well, that is massive in itself. Okay, the 2012 Olympics are a massive part of this international government fraud. It's no coincidence that was 100 years after the Titanic disaster of 1912. It's the same year that CERN discovered the Higgs boson or God particle, and they held the water sports element of the Olympics at Weymouth in Dorset, which is where Deborah Fleming was the NHS chief executive. So we now have this connection to not only the Olympic Games via this, but also she has connections to Italy, with evidence converging on the Vatican's connection to a falsified prophetic agenda in all of this. In 2014, as she was elected as honorary fellow of the British Institute of... elected as honorary fellow of the British Institute of Interior Design for her profound impact on the development and success of the interior design profession. And she was appointed as honorary MBE for services to creative industry in 2016, the year the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. Looscat is chair of Advance, a frontline women's charity providing crisis intervention, risk assessment, advocacy and support for women and their children experiencing domestic and sexual abuse, and community support for women who are involved in offending behaviour or the criminal justice system, which is likely all an inversion. Okay, I'm finding that these things have been set up as actually a way to control and ensure that the sexual exploitation can continue through this system of crime and fraud, particularly against children and women. She also chairs the Mears Foundation. Here you go. According to the research, we know it's going to be the same person. The charitable arm of Mears Group PLC. That is a trustee at animal welfare charity Mayhew. Again, likely an inversion. I did try looking at the dog festival in what country is that in, to see if I could connect that where they skin the dogs alive and boil the dogs alive, because I suspect that's part of our international government fraud as well. And I'm finding a lot of people involved in this don't like dogs. Could it be that it's God backwards and that they have an aversion to, because this is all about a separation from the creator, separation from moral conscience and our creator, really, according to all of the research. Looscat is a Dutch national. She was born in Munich, Germany, lived in Italy, but now resides in London, making important connections to the area where Trump's grandfather originated, time back to 1870 with the infiltration of the Rome, and the important date of 1870. Mears Group PLC was incorporated in 1996 and is a criminal company with Jordan's Sons Limited on its incorporation document, the same company as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Let's have a quick look at. So remember, this is coming in from the name of Milie Dowler's mother. All of this now, okay, 1996, originally called Track Equal Public Limited Company, changed its name just over a month after the first name on its incorporation document. It's a criminal company. Should never have been trading. This now links a name to Sally Dowler to the main company in the fraud. So Sally Dowler, you need to contact me, please, and explain if this is you, because it certainly appears as though it is. If this has nothing to do with you, then you need to come forward. Here you go. You have Jordan's main company in fraud, Swift Incorporations, the same companies that started Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Criminal organisations linking in with the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom, and crimes against children, apparently. Apparently. John Geraint Davies connects Mears Group plc to 6 Welsh-related companies, including Cardiff International Airport Limited, that connects quickly to the research of Andrew Morgan, one of my friends growing up where other critical connections are made, including to the infiltration of the royal family. I suspect he's my former friend. Andrew Morgan is a member of the JP Morgan family. I've sent him a private message calling him out, and he hasn't even responded. And supposedly, I'm not going to say that because it may be too, I don't want to upset people, if you know, because there's a lot of suicides in all of this, according to all of the research in my wife's family side of things, and also friends and people that I know who appear to be implicated in this fraud. David Lawrence Hossain connects Mears Group plc to 6 companies, including O, C and C companies, connecting to the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, and other areas as shown elsewhere in the document. Michael Anthony Macario, with an address in Ringwood, Hampshire, not far from Exbourne Manor, connects Mears Group plc to 30 companies, several of which are Miss World companies, including Miss World Group Limited, that was incorporated as Daskip Limited in 1988, and where its name was changed 3 times in 1989, the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN. These other names included Horizon FM Limited, also making reference to areas of the research, and Trans World Communications Limited, with Trans World companies linking to the research of Donald Trump and Russia. I suspect this possibly makes reference to transgenderism. The name Howard Thomas, a City Road address, and OYES Company Services company is shown on the incorporation document, making important connections throughout the research. And remember, this is coming in from the research of the name of Milie Dowler's mother. If we go into this, I'm just going to show it to you. So we had the Mears Foundation. This will be linked to Mears Group PLC, incorporated in 1996 with the name Track Equal, as we said earlier. Was it the People Record? That's probably the last one I looked at, was it? Yeah. Michael Anthony Macario. And you can see lots of Miss World companies. All right. Linking in it is, this is making links to the transgenderism movement. Okay, because you can see you've got Trans World, Horizon FM. Look at all these 3 name changes. 1989, when the World Wide Web was created for CERN. Do we there have to consider that the Miss World was a complete mockery, and that they are all not what they are led to believe of that sex? Is that part of the, I don't know. We have to consider that with this. Macaro also connects to Ringwood School. Okay, let me just show you that. Just to show you how quick this is all in, all connecting to the area where this all started for me. Ringwood School, which is in Hampshire. Now, my wife's auntie, Michelle Down, I'm going to name them all. She's in my document anyway, the name. She was the manager of the NHS surgery in Ringwood, in Hampshire, that links to Exbourne Manor via the research of that surgery. I've got that separately secured, screenshots. So that my wife's family are connected in multiple ways to Exbourne Manor. Never told me. connected into the international fraud, linked to the Freemasons, 3 connections to my wife's family to the Freemasons. I have no choice but to publicise this, okay? They're trying to stop me, but unfortunately, they're not responding to the police reports at all. Any of them, 40 or so police reports, not even responded to. So now we have a link. This is just up the road from Exbourne Manor. Just up the road. Now, I will find more evidence if I go into that, I'm sure, linking to Exbourne Manor itself. So we now have a connection to all of this. Now, separate search of Russian conferences. Remember, that was the name on the incorporation document that we looked at earlier, shown previously, reveals Professional Social Networks Limited, that was incorporated as Russian Conferences Services Limited in March 2010, the same year that CERN Limited was incorporated. And according to its overview, its name was changed for the only time in April 2022, as I made inquiries at Exbourne Manor. Constantine Orlando Bridgman of Bond Street is shown on the incorporation document. Just go into that so you can see it. See the original name, Russian Conference Services. Changed as I'm exposing the fraud, trying to hide the Russian link. We go in, constant, the name. Presume it's, let me just check my research. Constantine Bridgman connects the corporate corporations in International Limited to corporate communications. Constantine Orlando Bridgman connects the corporate communications International Limited. Oh, it's there, yeah. It was incorporated in 1998, leading up to the World Trade Center deception, and dissolved as I was exposing the fraud and escalating that exposure in 2023. Constantine Orlando Bridgman. Oh, yeah, this is important. That has Irwin Mitchell on its incorporation document. Sorry, on it in its address, correspondence address. Let me go back. Yep. Okay, notice the Irwin Mitchell. Well, that's a solicitor that now makes the links to the BBC, to the royal family, into Dowler, the main currency producer, all via Freshfields, which the BBC has they have the contract for the BBC. And that links in with major crimes, according to all of the research, major crimes against children in this international government fraud. So that now makes that link to the BBC, which obviously Jimmy Savile's connected to the BBC from previously. I've got that. Yep. Referring back to Peace Child International. David Rupert Woolcombe connects to British overseas NGOs for development. Immediate connections, major connections to the criminal network and criminal United Nations companies. Started with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. It also makes links. There's an NGO company that links immediately to the name of Princess Diana's bodyguard. Okay? NGO is non-governmental organisations. Thomas William Burke connects Peace Child International to Children's Rights Alliance for England, making immediate connections to those around the criminal court case against me. Okay, so we're going to move on a little bit here. Dowler's murder played a significant role in the News International phone hacking scandal. In 2011, reports revealed how journalists at the News had accessed Dowler's voicemail after she was reported missing, giving her parents false hope she was still alive. Now, with the evidence that we've just seen and this, we have to consider something. I don't need to spell it out. I've just discovered overwhelming evidence that supports that George Floyd did not die. okay, as part of the Black Lives Matter in May 2020. I don't believe George Floyd died in that incident on the floor when Derek Chauvin supposedly led on his neck. The evidence is overwhelming. The research shows they knew each other before that even happened, and I've done multiple links in from all areas of that, and it links into the NHS and what appears to be a criminal blood bank company linking in with the NHS, and it has the same address that we looked at earlier, 84, the Temple Chambers address. Okay, linking into this, all tying this together. So this suggested she may have been still alive. The resulting outcry from the British public contributed to the closure of the newspaper and led to a range of investigations and inquiries into phone hacking and media ethics in British media, but not until 2011, which is when the Christchurch earthquake happened and the death of Jimmy Savile later that year. So this is, I'm just showing you because it's in here. Oh, there you go. You can see the phone hacking scandal there linking into it. News International phone hacking scandal linking in with Milie Dowler. Now this is where it starts to get even more interesting. On searching, here we go. On searching Sally Dowler, the mother of Milie Dowler, it revealed a connection to a documentary called The Hack, which was released from September to November 2025. And Sally Dowler had been portrayed, and it is set between 2002 and 2012. The series examined two intersecting real-life stories. The work of Nick Davies, a journalist who uncovered evidence of phone hacking at the News of the World, a now defunct British newspaper owned by Rupert Murdoch, and the police investigation into the unsolved 1987 murder of Daniel Morgan, a private investigator with links to the News of the World. At the time of his death, Morgan worked for Southern Investigations, according to the research, a company he had found with his business partner, Jonathan Rees. Now, that's the same surname, okay, as the bodyguard for Princess Diana, which is now going to become relevant in all of this. Rees was arrested in April 1987 on suspicion of murder, along with Morgan's future replacement at Southern Investigations, Detective Sergeant Sid Fillery, another Metropolitan Police officer, and two brothers, Glenn and Gary Vian. All were released without charge. More on Fillery later. Born in September 1954 in Doncaster, Yorkshire, Rees left school and joined the Merchant Navy, then became an investigator. Now, the Navy links into the Flemings. Ian Fleming was very influential in the Navy. In 1984, with partner Daniel Morgan, the person who supposedly died, he set up a detective agency, Southern Investigations, in Thornton Heath in Surrey. And with Surrey being where Milie Dowler went missing. In April 1980, now I haven't looked at the specific location within Surrey to see how close it is to this, but it's the same county. In April 1987, Rees was arrested on suspicion of the murder of Daniel Morgan, who was supposedly axed to death, but released without charge. A company's house search for Jonathan Rees is connected to Tech3 Consulting Limited, that was incorporated in January 2012 on the lead up to CERN discovering the Higgs boson on a God particle. I'm just going to show you that. Tech3 in liquidation. Let's look at the names. Jonathan Rees. Okay, appointed 2012 in January. We've also got a Lisa Marie Rees. Now, if we go back to liquidation. So the company is being closed according to this as they're panicking, all right, with all of this coming out, it seems. So we have this Tech3 Consulting. A separate search for Tech3 shows Tech3 Unlimited was incorporated in 2018 as Gordon Bowden is exposing the evidence of his non-verification element of the fraud, and it has an address in Poole in Dorset, not far from Exbourne Manor. Is Tech 3 Unlimited, 6 Hurst Hill, Poole in Dorset. Gary Fenton Blackmore is the only director for Tech 3 Unlimited and connects to 10 companies, including Newgate Lodge Freehold Limited. Now, interestingly, and thank you if you're listening to this, somebody has sent me an email. Newgate is the name, the original name for British Telecom, okay, which I think is going to be relevant to this company. Probably, I haven't verified that, but the threat from directed energy, the frequencies through the communication systems against humanity. So this is Newgate Lodge Freehold Limited that was incorporated in 2024 and has a registered address in Verwood, Dorset, the same town where the new managing agent for Exbourne Manor Property Solutions Southern Limited is based. It has 661 Christchurch Road, Bournemouth on its incorporation document, exactly the same road where Exbourne Manor is based. The filing history shows that its address was changed in February 2025 as the exposure continued. So I'm just going to show you that. Tech 3, Blackmore, Gate Lodge. In fact, you can see it here, look. So Exbourne Manor is on Christchurch Road in Bournemouth. Here we have Christchurch Road, Bournemouth. Appointed March 2024. Blackmore also connects to Bolt Plan Limited, that was incorporated as Kiwi Design Limited in 1995, the same year as the Russian government and intelligence agency and royal family linked Hackler International Advisory Board. That's shown on page 40 of the incorporation document of the Royal Foundation for the Prince and Princess of Wales. Its name was changed in 2008, the same year that the Large Hadron Collider was activated, and it is a criminal company, having been incorporated with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. I suspect this Kiwi name makes reference to New Zealand and the Christchurch earthquake. We go into it. I'll just show you that. Bolt Plan. Interesting name. Bolt Plan. Also Pen Hill. That's not far from Exbourne Manor. Urban Bournemouth. What's the address on this one? Verwood, which is where the managing agent is based for Exbourne Manor, the new one. Here you can see Bolt Plan, 1995, Kiwi Design at the bottom. So it was given that name the same year as the Hackler International Advisory Board was created, linking the intelligence agencies to the Russian government, to the royal family, and the deception against all of humanity leading up to the deceptive World Trade Center disaster. And then within there, what we're going to look at. Oh yeah, just going to confirm it's the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. So that pretty much is overwhelming it to Deborah Fleming and Exbourne Manor now, because you've got the Christchurch Road connection. Now you've got the... Oh, he says... Oh. Oh no, there you go. I was getting worried there. Swift Incorporations Limited, same as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Jordan's Criminal Company that we've just been looking at, Jordan's and Sons Limited. So this is almost certainly now linking the Milie Dowler case to Exbourne Manor. And you also have, what else have we got here? Added a name, Christine there. Just have a quick look. There you go, Ringwood, Hampshire. Just up the road that we were just talking about. Ringwood, Hampshire, Bolt Plan. Bolt Plan. So you see where I'm saying everything appears to be circulating around me. Literally, whatever's been going on, it all seems to be linking in with me. All three of my families in all of this. Where else was I going to go with that? Blackmore also connects to Kiwi Design Limited that was incorporated as Bolt Plan. So you see they swapped the names around in 1986 before its name was changed in 2008. Alan Douglas Blackmore connects Kiwi Design Limited to Shorehaven Pool Limited. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is important. This is very important. So if that wasn't enough that we've already looked at, then this is going to absolutely prove it. So Alan Douglas Blackmore go into another company called Kiwi Design Limited, Hague Avenue in Poole, was incorporated as Bolt Plan. I've forgotten what I was looking at now. Connects Kiwi Design. And he connects it to Shorehaven Pool. So go back. Shorehaven Pool. Look when they were appointed. August 2001. A month after, well, it's a month before, sorry, the World Trade Center disaster. Less than a month before. And then they resigned in 2004. If we go into Shorehaven Pool, see you have an address here in Fleetsbridge, Pool. Okay, then from here, it is a criminal company again. They've been incorporated with the same company as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. I won't worry about showing you that. Timothy James Townsend connects this company to 14 companies, including several with a correspondence address of 3 Durrant Road in Poole. Now, this is important for the reason I'm going to show you. I'll read this to you, actually. 3 Durrant Road in Poole. This is the exact same address as Carter and Coley, who were the accountants for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited and supposed friends of the Flemings, who initiated my removal as a director from Exbourne Manor after refusing to file the forged bank documents, which Carter and Coley appeared to have been filed and using for years. Okay, so we then have that link via him. So, let me just go into it and show you that. Timothy James. Within this company. So this is now absolute certain connection to Milie Dowler, and also this links to my brother-in-law's family. Okay, almost immediately via JWWT, and that links very quickly to Ghislaine Maxwell, Elon Musk, and everything else I'm telling you about. Okay, like you're talking almost immediately. But let's go back to what I was talking about here, so you can see. Oh. Townsend. 3 Durrant Road. Okay, Durrant Road, Bournemouth. Other company, I think there's other ones. Durrant Road. Now they put Bournemouth. I think Durrant Road is the one at Carter and Coley is Poole. So what they're using is variations of the address. So I'll just show you Carter and Coley, which is the accountants. And I had lots of emails to confirm or make me believe that they had, through my research, that they had actually been, it's Bournemouth, they've got it as, yeah, it's Bournemouth, there you go, you can see it here, that they had been filing the forged bank documents for years. So here's Carter and, oh, interesting. So you can see here under the appointments section, they've got this, they've changed their address. So when did they change it? Very recently, probably, yeah, there you go. So very recently changed it because they know I'm exposing it. So 19th of August, which was the same day as my arrest. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, that was 19th of September. So that's leading up to my arrest. If you look on the filing history, I'm pretty sure it's Finchley Road, which links to the fraud. These people all need to be arrested, everybody. All these accountants. They will, this isn't going to go on. 788, 790 Finchley Road links into the Finchley Road fraud. Okay, so if we go back to the document, so I know this is a long video, I'm sorry, it's there's a lot of evidence here. Timothy James Towns connects this. We've done the Carter and Coley. We've already seen. I won't go into it, but that also connects to my brother-in-law. So that means my brother-in-law is linked. My brother-in-law's family is linked to the Milie Dowler case far too quickly to be a coincidence, and the fraud straight away. They had Stephen Owens linked to their family, okay, and they're linked to the main Freemasons lodge. So this proves that the Freemasons are behind all of this. Okay, because you've got that link to the Freemasons. Townsend also connects to Burns Property Management and Lettings Limited with an address of Hawthorne House, 1 Lowther Gardens, Bournemouth. This links quickly to the research of Julian Assange, a doomsday cult, my families, and the Association of Chief Police Officers of the United Kingdom. Okay, so this now links the actual police organisations to the Milie Dowler death, if it was real, if her death was real. And Daniel Morgan, and Daniel Morgan's death. Townsend also connects to JWT South Limited, that is linked immediately to my brother-in-law's family, as I've said, who is linked to the main Freemason Lodge, and quickly to Ghislaine Maxwell and the Christchurch Earthquake Appeal Company, as shown elsewhere in the document. Between Morgan's death in 1987 and 2008, 5 police inquiries were conducted at a cost of £140 million that they've told us about. So they will be 100% stealing money from you and funneling it through these investigations. 100%, that's what they'll be doing. Okay, it will be millions and millions and millions of pounds being funneled through these investigations, stealing it from all of you through the taxation system. Between Morgan's death in 1987 and I've mentioned that, after an inquiry by Hampshire Police, the county where Milie Dowler's body was found, in 1988, Rees and another man were charged with murder of Daniel Morgan. But they did not reach trial when charges were dropped because of a lack of evidence. And the Hampshire Inquiry's 1989 report to the Police Complaints Authority found no evidence whatsoever of police involvement in the murder. That's a lie. This is all 100% linking in with the police. Now, that year is 1989 in itself is very important. That's the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN, everybody. That's the same year that the Hillsborough disaster happened, okay, which they then released information of its report in 2012 after CERN discovered the Higgs boson or God particle. And there's criminal companies linking in with the Hillsborough disaster. So they are laundering money 100%. This involves the police, the NHS, the military. Trillions of pounds will be being stolen from people around the world in all of this, okay, in relation to these investigations. In 1998, Metropolitan Police Deputy Assistant Commissioner Roy Clark conducted a third secret inquiry into the murder. This is Daniel Morgan we're talking about, during which Southern Investigations Office was bugged by a known paid police informant. Remember, that's the company that Daniel Morgan was working for. Roy Clark is the former Metropolitan Police Deputy Assistant Commissioner and head of Scotland Yard's anti-corruption squad at the time. Upon retiring from the Metropolitan Police, Clark became Director of Crime Stoppers UK, then Director of Investigations at the Independent Police Complaints Commission. He was the Director of Criminal Investigations for HM Revenue and Customs. Unbelievable. Everybody, they've set people up in relation to tax and murders against all these people, literally positioned them all from the police. It's absolutely unreal what they've been doing. He was the Director of Criminal Investigations for HM Revenue, as I've said, from its formation in 2005, enabling them, all right, to steal the money from taxation, okay, until 2011. He was almost certainly positioned to facilitate the fraud. Now, we're going to look at his, I think we do a bit of research on him in a minute. I'm just going to show you his, well, there's something I was going to say there that was quite important. It's gone out of my head now. Oh, yeah, so he's linked to Crime Stoppers. So that now links him to the research of the death of Jill Dando again. And we've already looked earlier at connections to the death of Jill Dando in all of this. Let's just bring here his Wikipedia up. Hopefully there's a picture. I can't remember. Don't think there is, no. So here's Roy Clark, Crime Stoppers link. Not a lot of information on him, actually, on there. He was also appointed Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2009, the same year that the main, or a company that links all areas of the fraud, the Royal Foundation, the Prince and Princess of Wales, was incorporated. The same year that I became a director for Exbourne Manor. How many people we got on here? 123. It's not enough, everybody. You need to be, I hope you're recording this and you get it up, re-uploaded everywhere as much as you can. I know it's a long video. It's possible they'll take it off my YouTube. I'm only getting about 1,000 views on a video. They're suppressing it all. This record, and I hope you're all innocent. So a company's house record, separate... Sorry, I haven't... Go back. A company's house search confirms a connection to Crime Stoppers Enterprises Limited. It was incorporated as Expert Flair Limited in 1988, the year before the World Wide Web was created for CERN, until its name was changed in 1992, the year that the company's house register started to become electronic and the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Just show you that. My back's aching. There you go. You can see a link to his name, Roy Clark, at the top. Crime Stoppers. April 2001, on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster. And he then resigned after the World Trade Center disaster. A separate result reveals a record for Roy Clark with a variation of the date of birth and connected to 6 companies, including the Red House Management, Scarborough Limited, with Red House Limited already connected to barrister Paul Hilliard, which is a barrister for another case. And the company has LA registrars on its incorporation document, making important connections to the research of the collider technology and earthquakes as shown throughout the document. I'm pretty sure that LA registrars also links to, in fact, I'm almost certain, to David Beckham, who has been named on the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, Fingertip Films, the Red House Management. There you go. And this becomes important. This record for Clark also connects to Fingertip Productions Limited that was incorporated in 1988 and is a criminal company, having been incorporated with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Now the Red House management side of things becomes important to another Red House link. Oh. Looks like I've lost that. Fingertip Productions. Incorporated in 1988. Orange Street. Terence Patrick Mez connects Fingertip Productions Limited to 21 companies. And almost everyone checked connects to Howard Thomas and or Eurolife companies. Now this links everything we've been talking about, the different cases we've been looking at, all linked together via that name on these incorporation documents extremely quickly. Okay, they're using these names to connect it all together as a centralized criminal network. Okay, because that way they funnel then all of the tax from everybody into their organized criminal network. I'll just show you that. So if we go into the people record, Melis, and nearly every, and you've got 3L companies, interesting. I think we've got let's see if this one's Howard Thomas. Yeah, Eurolife secretaries, there we go. That links to, you'll be able to search that on the document. This also links to the Collider technology very quickly and via this name to my wife's family. Okay, you've got Nicholas Morton, who is her father. My wife is Lisa Morton, former name Morton. Obviously Waterman at the moment. They all need to be arrested. You've got Eurolife. This all links in with Howard Thomas, the name. To protect humanity. Unfortunately, all of the evidence suggests they are part of a doomsday cult which explains why Lisa's dad was very, very keen on talking about the black holes before I had all of this evidence. There's Howard Thomas. And you can see over 7,000 companies for this particular record of him. Underground ice hole. Interesting. Wonder how relevant that will be if I go into it. Underground X. Interesting. I haven't actually looked into these. Shipley's LLP. Very likely going to be linking into Harold Shipley, the serial killer, I would think. I've looked into all of these at some point. Go back to the document. So we've done that. In December 2007, Reese, remember, he was the suspect for the Daniel Morgan case, was found guilty of conspiring to plant cocaine. So now we've got a link to the drug trade, to the police, and to these deaths, apparent deaths, on an innocent woman in order to discredit her in a child custody battle, and sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for attempting to pervert the course of justice. I bet he didn't even spend a day in prison. After Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Ian Blair declared that the first inquiry into Daniel's murder... After the Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Ian Blair declared that the first police inquiry that had included Detective Sergeant Sid Fillery, stationed at Catford Police Station, was compromised, a secret fifth inquiry began. Now, today I've done research on Sir Ian Blair. Okay, so what we're going to do is flip to, because I haven't put it into the document yet, so we're going to flip to the research on Sir Ian Blair. It should hopefully be here. Yep. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Ian Blair declared that the first police inquiry that had included Detective Sergeant Sid Fillery, stationed at Catford, was compromised. Okay, I haven't finished. I just put that little bit in there to remind me where I was. Ian Warwick Blair. Interesting. Warwick. Bearing in mind we were talking about Warwick companies earlier. Baron Blair of Bourton, born 1953, supposedly died in July 2025, the same month that the comet was seen, 3I Atlas comet, the same month that the main currency producer, De La Rue, came off the London Stock Exchange for the first time since 1947, when the Doomsday Clock was created. He was a British police officer who held the position of Commissioner of Police of the Metropolitan Police from 2005 to 2008. His term of office saw the mistaken shooting of an innocent man, Jean-Charles de Menezes, which resulted, and that's to do with the bombings in 2005, wasn't it? The bus bombings in London, which is all linked into this as well, by the way, everybody, which resulted in contradictory police reports, and his comments on race caused some controversy among ethnic minority police officers. He was also responsible for identifying the victims of the 1987 King's Cross fire. Now, I haven't researched that yet, but I'm almost certain that the Grenfell Tower fire, if it happened, was deliberate, involving the organisations that are there to protect us from these things. So if you just look at the Ian Blair Wikipedia, just sit quickly. So this is the officer around the time of the case of Daniel Morgan's murder, and supposedly died last year, July 2025, as all these other big things happening with the exposure. A company's house search for Blair shows that he was connected to 9 companies, including Helen and Douglas House, where he resigned in 2024, as the exposure is continuing. The company was incorporated as Oxford Red... Oh, I've got that wrong. Let's have a look at it. Respices, that should be, sorry. As I only done this earlier, so I haven't gone through it at all. As respices for children and young people, to have a link to children, vulnerable children. In December 2000, the year before the World Trade Center disaster, that makes immediate religious connections via Sister Francis Dominica Ritchie on its incorporation document, along with the name Robin Fleming. So we're going to go into the records. And this is actually the same date of birth they've got on Wikipedia and matches everything. So this will be him, Helen Douglas House. And just go back, he was incorporated in 2008, appointed, 2018, resigned 2024 November. On the incorporation document, you have the link to the falsified prophecies via the religious establishments, again, via a sister. And you're going to see there's loads of connections to religious establishments, actually, as we go, but... So you've got Robert Fleming. I can't confirm that is a connection to the Fleming family, but it wouldn't surprise me. And then you have a Sister Francis, okay? Sister in religion. So we have a religious link in now coming in from this. Jennifer Veronica Younger connects this company to 10 companies, including Tavistock Institute of Medical Psychology, making the connection to the mind control program that was taken up by the NHS. This is absolutely critical, everybody. This bit, I'm going to go into it and show you. So, because she's connected to a few things. So, Younger. So, we're within the same company that he's connected to. And Younger connects to 10 companies, including Tavistock Institute of Medical Psychology. Now, this is very important. The organisation was originally founded in 1946, which is the same year that the UNICEF was founded, which supposedly is to help children in times of conflicts around the world. Okay, I think they've been set up for the opposite, as an inversion. And this was a mind-controlling program using pharmaceuticals that was then integrated into the NHS, which was created, I think, in 1947 or 48. I can't remember. 1947 was the Doomsday Clock, remember, was first started. And so now we have a link to the mind control program implemented into the NHS program. We also have a link to, what else was it down here I saw? Is it down here? The Royal Drawing School. This makes connections immediately to the Nicola Bulley case via Peter Lawson, who was the lead investigating officer for the Nicola Bulley case and was found dead in his home address at an untimely age of 50. Also, they link to the Gordonstown Schools Limited Company. Now, look at how important this is. Okay, so first of all, it makes a link straight to the paedophile information exchange via this address, which links to Companies Made Simple, where they've removed a company name from the document, which links the World Trade Center disaster to the paedophile information exchange. And now we have a link to the mind controlling programs in all of it against humanity. And if you go into the people record for this company, you'll recognize some names on here, I'm sure. You'll see lots of military personnel. See here, squadron leader. But there's some bigger names you will know. Baronesses. Not too sure if it's on this page. Interesting. Farquharson, that's the same surname as someone involved in my court case. You'll probably recognise more on these than I will. There you go. Her Royal Highness Princess Anne. She was appointed in 1995 when the Hakluyt International Advisory Board Company was incorporated, linking the royal family to the Russian government and the intelligence agencies and the criminal network all against humanity, leading up to the World Trade Center disaster. And she resigned after the World Trade Center disaster in March 2002. Can't remember what other companies are there. Royal Yachting Association, yeah. So that links to the infiltration of the royal family and my friend Andrew Morgan in Kent via her name. So he's almost certainly going to be a member of the JP Morgan family. and Arbor House. Now, from here are, and I'd have to go into another bit of document, almost immediate connections to Donald Trump, to Jimmy Savile, to the main Freemasons Lodge again, and connections into Madeleine McCann. You also have in this company, and you'll recognise the name, a lot of these you'll probably know, and I haven't looked into all of these. Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew was appointed before 1992, which is when obviously the Catholic Church became a legal entity and the company's house started to become electronic. Then he resigned on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster. The same year that the re-establishment of the Church of Satan took place. Can't remember what other companies. So he's linked to 5. Outward Bound links to Jimmy Savile. Again, this all links into Donald Trump. Jimmy Savile is a director for one of these. I can't remember which one. R&A Trust Company. I haven't looked into these. One of these Gordonston school companies, you've got Prince Philip connects to it. So that's huge. What else was we going to show? So this now links the royal family to the Daniel Morgan murder and the Milie Dowler case. Okay, obviously they didn't carry out the murder, but it shows the link to the international government fraud and the crimes against the children. So we've done Jennifer and Veronica. Yeah, I've done that. Blair also connects to Shakespeare Globe Trust. So we've gone back to Blair. It was incorporated in 1973, the same year that the World Trade Center was finished being built and the Swift International Transaction System started to be used. And Erica Midorokora Crump connects this company to Bates, Wells and Braithwaite London LLP. It was incorporated on the 24th of January 2007, less than 4 months before Madeleine McCann's disappearance. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's companies makes direct connections to Keir Starmer via the, in fact, we'll have a quick look at that because I can show you the date as well there. Bates, Wells, Braithwaite's makes direct connections to Keir Starmer via the Death Penalty Project Limited, the Royal Foundation for the Prince and Princess of Wales again, that connects most areas of the fraud, to Madeleine McCann and to P. Diddy, who used Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's in his defence in the case from 2024. So we'll have a quick look at the Death Penalty Project Limited just so you can see, because it shows that date that Keir Starmer resigned, which was the date that the supposed death of the founder of the London Law Agency occurred, that we looked at earlier. Oh. So here's the Death Penalty Project. I think it was incorporated 2005. And you can see, if we look on the filing history, you'll see the London Law Agency, and then I'll show you Keir Starmer's name on it. He was obviously director for public prosecutions for Jimmy Savile. He's actually linked to Jimmy Savile in the research. He's part of it all with them. So you've got the London Law Agency. So it's a criminal organisation, according to the information and research I've got. If you go into the people record, I think he's on page 2. Oh, no, there isn't a page 2. There you go, Keir Starmer. And look when he resigned, we said earlier, 5th of April 2020. The same day, not even the same month, that the founder of the London Law Agency died. And he was appointed in November 2005 to the company. This isn't long after the Gordon Bowden died, the person that had identified the non-verification element of the company's house fraud. Despina Tsatsartos connects Shakespeare Globe Trust to UK Theatre Association that was incorporated in 1937, has a forged register, and according to its memorandum of Articles of Association. Jacqueline L. Alexis connects this company to Black Theatre Cooperative Limited, that had recently featured in the research that I've done on the death of George Floyd, and quickly linking to the NHS and criminal bloodstock companies. Blair, going back to Blair, also connects to Justice Links, that was incorporated in 2015 and dissolved in February 2005 as the exposure continued. It has Thames Valley Partnership on its incorporation document. David Hewitt Riley Faulkner connects justice links to Howard League and penal reform, in brackets incorporating the Howard Centre for Penology, and to the Mental Health Foundation. Bearing in mind, we've got the mind control of the Tavistock Institute linked to this as well. And the Mental Health Foundation, that exact company, features in the research of the fraudulent court case against me, that should say. Coming in from Alison Mackenzie, that was the name on the petition given to me in the court. And links straight to Lloyds Bank companies connecting to the research of Aisha Hart from God FM. And Lloyds Bank companies are on page 40 of the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Blair also connects to the Thames Valley Partnership that was incorporated, and as we've just mentioned, that was on the other corporation document, in 1993 on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster deception. The filing history shows an entry on the 15th of June 2000 that its registered address was the old police station. All right, so this is just helping to support the connection to the police in all of this. Diane Bayfield was appointed to the Thames Valley Partnership in December 2022. The same month I made the report and resigned in 2024 as the exposure continued. They connect to 6 companies, including the Oxford Emmaus, and an Emmaus company connects to the research of, that shouldn't be Philart, Fillery, that should be. We're going to come to that in a minute. Okay, so bearing in mind, we're coming in from the police chief, okay, Blair. In a minute, you're going to see a link to a suspect or to somebody in the case to these exact same companies or to Emmaus companies, all right? They're all going to be linked. All of these Emmaus companies are going to be linked together. So we have an Emmaus company. You're going to see that in a minute. There is a duplicate record for Blair within Thames Valley Partnership that connects to the collaborative foundation that was incorporated as the Public Management Foundation at a key year of 1990, the year after the World Wide Web was created for CERN. It has, among other companies, the Nurses Welfare Trust on its incorporation document, making the connection to the healthcare system. So we're going to go into this, actually. I'm going to show you this. So what are we on here? Death Penalty Project. No, so I need to go back into the document. I'm not looking at any comments. So, all right, I'm going to go to a live and do the comments and questions, etc. afterwards on my TikTok channel. So back into Blair, and also this. So we're in the record, okay, for the chief of police at the time of the inquiry, the Daniel Morgan inquiry. We've already gone into a couple of these companies and mentioned them. Thames Valley we're going to go into a minute, but I just want to show you this Oxford Diocesan Board of Finance. So that links back into the religious establishments. And importantly, Oxford is where the Maxwells were very prominent. Okay, Ghislaine and Robert Maxwell lived in Oxford. You also have Blue Light Global Solutions. I haven't gone into these. The Tutu Foundation, I've seen that somewhere elsewhere. And we have another link to the religious establishments via the St. Paul's Cathedral. And look, oh my goodness, look. So that's also dissolved in July 2025. Okay, so that's St. Paul's Cathedral Foundation. You can see I'm right about all of this, everybody. I'm sorry to say the evidence is overwhelming. You can see how they're dissolving all of the companies, that it's just saying that this is all true. Okay, so this is obviously St. Paul's. That will then link in with the Archbishop of Canterbury foundations in all of this. And he resigned on the 12th of November 2024 as a continued the fraud exposure. So if we go into, where is it? The Thames Valley Partnership, there was something I was going to show you here. Notice the coach house. We mentioned this earlier. Remember we said about the coach house. It was on an incorporation document from a completely different area of research, I believe. They used the same addresses, okay, to centralise the fraud. Where was I going to go with that? Bateswells and Braithwaite. I'm going to show you that if I remember in a minute. I should have shown you that on the death penalty Project Limited. Justice links. Oh yeah, Thames Valley Partnership was incorporated in 1993 on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster deception. The filing history shows an entry on the 15th of June that registered at the old police station. Diana Bayfield was appointed to the Thames Valley in December 2022. She connects to 6 companies, including the Emmaus companies. There are duplicate records within this for Blair. Yeah, that's where I was going. So within this company, you've got one record for Blair going into it, which is Bayfield with... I'll have a quick look. We'll just show you Bayfield because... I think that's the connection to... Oh, no. The Well Christian. Yeah, Emmaus. There's the Emmaus company. And then Emmaus features shortly. So we've got one Ian Warwick Blair, and there's a second record. So this one goes into the 9 companies that I'd seen previously. Okay, but doesn't have, okay, the one we're going to be looking at in the duplicate record. So this is the duplicate record they've created deliberately within the company. There's this hidden company, the Collaborate Foundation. Sounds like they're collaborating on this international fraud. Called the Public Management Foundation. 1990, it was incorporated. Dissolved 2021. Within here, what was it I was going to look at? Oh. This one? No. Let's have a quick look at this whilst I'm here. English Touring. Stevenage Road. No. I know this one's important. So coming in from here, you then have this features throughout the Fraud Institute for Public Policy Research. You also have a link to the NHS Confederation. Now, bearing in mind, I've just told you there's a criminal bloodstock company linking to the satanic cult, linking to the NHS from the research of Black Lives Matter. We now have a connection via this, okay, to the bloodstock company, criminal organisation linking into satanic cult, tying into Black Lives Matter as well, because it's from here that the connection is made. This was incorporated in January 2002. If you go into the filing history, I'll be able to show you some of this, but you can then verify it from the document, the rest of it. Okay, it has these addresses featured throughout the fraud: 7 Spa Road, Alfred John, OY's company services. That links to Jeffrey Epstein via the research. That is just in the process of administration as I've exposed it, even though it's been around for a long time. I think it's that same company. It's certainly an OYES company. So you can see it's the NHS company. And then when you go into OYES on the research and another part of the document, it links to a name of Sundar Mansukhani. And via C and M, I think it is, secretaries, you hit a name, Sundar Mansukhani. Well, that then features in and links with the criminal bloodstock company linking to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom. So there we have a link to the NHS going in to all of this. And this person also connects to, if we just go down, Turning Point companies. Okay, Turning Point connects to Candice Owens and to George Farmer, her husband, and connects to Charles Kirk. I don't believe Charles Kirk died at all in that assassination. I believe that was a lie. You also see COVID-19 healthcare support appeal. So it links into the vaccines, and they've dissolved this company, as I was exposing. Okay. Now, interestingly, it was incorporated 2 days before Keir Starmer resigned from the Death Penalty Project Limited. 3rd of April, 2020. Turning Point company again, right? Now, those of you who've seen my research of the Dunblane massacre, you hit the Turning Point. So this now ties the Millie Dowler case, the Daniel Morgan death, to the Dunblane massacre, to Donald Trump, to Candace Owens, to George Farmer, to what else is on there. You've also got a link to, I think, we've just seen the connection to the royal family. So we know we've got those connections. You've got to remember there's over 5 million registered companies and all of this. And we're within a very small number of companies. And there's fraud all the way through it, everybody. Fraud all the way through. Have a theatre company. That's very likely going to link into the theatre connections already made. The Duke of Edinburgh Theatre. And we already looked at the Black Theatre earlier, the cooperative theatre that links to the Black Lives Matter again from the research. It's crime all the way through. I'm just seeing if we can see a straight connection. I haven't checked this. Straight connection to the Duke of Edinburgh Theatre would be nice, but Sick Productions. Still want to know. I bet that's going to be. I wonder if there's. I'll just have a quick look at that because that might link into English Touring Theatre. Might link into 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster. Basement South, Brighton Fringe. Okay, now the transgender side of things is definitely part of all of this. And in fact, later I think we look at it. I might not actually do much more. There's a bit more evidence I wanted to show, but I might do the rest of it. Might do the rest of that on another live because it's getting a bit late and I still want to do the questions on TikTok if anyone wants to talk to me about it. Sick Productions. Let's have a little look. Health Watch. South Dance. I'm looking for a film company such as Ingenious Film Partners, Arcade Films. Oh, that's Highlight. Is that the name I was in? That's the name I was in. Because then that makes a link directly to the Satanic Temple again. Brighton and Hove community. This is going to start making the links because I've seen those companies. One of the dance companies, not one of these that we're looking at, there's a lot of dance companies here, links to the main Freemason lodge almost immediately via the research of my brother-in-law's family. So if I see that, it'd be interesting. A few companies with this director. Manchester Science Partnerships. Anyway, I could do that later. I'm thinking of stopping soon. Let's just have a quick. I'll just finish this evidence on Blair. At least I've done the duplicate record linking to the NHS, which is really important because that links to the criminal bloodstock companies coming in from Black Lives Matter. Lord Victor, oh, I've mentioned that. Yeah, that's good. So I've done all of that I wanted from that part. What's this one? Going back. Okay. I'm going to just quickly... Levi Belfield, wasn't it? Belfield. We'll come back to Milie Dowler in a minute. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my back shaking. Back's aching, sorry. Okay, where else? There was another... Oh, here we go. So I just wanted to quickly mention... Is it this one? No. No. Let me go back. It's elsewhere in the document. Oh, yeah. So the research on the Chillenden-Russell murders, so it was in Chillenden in Kent, okay, in 1996, the same year, in fact, very close to the date. I think it was about 4 months difference, I think, to the Dunblane massacre. You had the deaths of two of the Russell family in Chillenden in Kent, not far away from Aylsham. Well, research shows, and I'll go through all of this on another video actually, because this is quite interesting. But research shows that Michael Stone, the suspect, had been convicted of the murders and attempted murder, but that Stone had always protested his innocence. In February 2022, as I'm asking questions, okay, at Exbourne Manor, and when the special military operation takes place or is announced, by Vladimir Putin against Ukraine, Stone's solicitor said that Levi Belfield had confessed to the murders, although the truthfulness of the confession remained in doubt, and Belfield later claimed that he had confessed for a cash payment. Belfield is connected to the Milie Dowler and phone hacking research that already connects to the Madeleine McCann case, where several doctors were on holiday at the time, because this also, Russell's father was a doctor. Okay, and it's very interesting where the research goes from their father. So we'll look at that another time. But I just wanted to show quickly you have a connection to the Dowler case via it, and where that leads is very, very interesting. But we'll carry on with what we had here. In fact, I might leave it at that for now and do the rest in another live, and then we'll also go into the research of the Chillenden murders as well. So I'm going to leave it at that, I think, because I'm getting a bit tired and I still want to do the questions. So please email me if you haven't already, GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. You need to get this document. So that's Gary with one R, TheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. My Proton email is GaryTimeForFreedom@proton.me. That's Gary timeforfreedom@proton.me. And come across to my live in, let's give it 10 minutes. So 25 to midnight that'll be, and we'll just do like 20 minutes or so of questions. So 25 to midnight on my TikTok channel, which is Gary The Truth Sets Us Free. TikTok, it's at Gary The Truth Sets Us Free at 25 to midnight. Thanks very much. Really appreciate you listening. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.